That was
Hey, Daniel.
wondering about what y'all think of the role of Heath Evans, what he'll have in the game as far as protecting Drew's line side and such things. I'm going to hang up and listen to y'all.
Yeah, Daniel, I really think Heath Evans is definitely a factor. I think he's going to be part of the game plan, week in and week out. I mean, how they get him the ball out of the backfield, a screen-type play. You know, he scored his first touchdown against the Lions last week, like Jeremy Shockey, in a Saints uniform. So I could see them as far as, looking at all the different, blitzes, schemes that the Eagles utilize, that, having Zach Strief in there at times, at maybe the tight end position, to help out Jermon Bushrod on that weak side, and also the fullback, and even the tailback position, chipping the defensive end before you go out in the route. So, yeah, Heath Evans is going to, as far as the pass protection, is going to be very important, protecting Drew Brees and giving him time against the Eagles.
That's the Cajun Cannon, Bobby Hebert. I'm Deke Bellavia. Less than a half hour away between the Saints and the Eagles. Turn down the sound on that set and turn up the New Orleans Saints radio network.
Special teams, is that a concern going into this game?
Well, it's something that we're anxious to see the improvement we've made, from the first game. And we talked about it last week. We spent a lot of time during the week in practice. And so today it's going to be critical that, we're able to protect the field position. I think that aspect is going to be real important in today's game. It's always hard to tell what type of game is going to be played, but, having a chance to create field position with our return units and then, handling a returner that they have is going to be important.
Sean, under Andy Reid, the Eagles have become one of the top teams in the league in forcing turnovers. They really do a good job of taking the ball away, don't they?
Well, the defense historically there has done a great job of creating turnovers, and last week was a great example. They had 7 of them. And so what it did was it, puts the offense on a short field, and some cases there was touchdowns scored, and all of a sudden, it's hard to overcome that. You're not going to win any games when you have that many turnovers, and that's something that's going to be critical today.
A lot has been made about you having to prepare for 2 quarterbacks, but when you break it down, basically you may have to be preparing for 3 quarterbacks if McNabb plays Garcia and Cobb. Does that put you at any disadvantage? What do you have to do differently, knowing that you could see possibly 3 quarterbacks today?
Well, I think we start with preparing for the offense, and that's what our focus has been on all week. And I think there's probably a good chance that we're going to see Cobb today, but nothing surprises you with Donovan McNabb. He's a tough competitor, and he's a guy that's played through pain before. So, I think number one, it starts with the offense, and then recognizing who's in.
Coach, you started in this league in Philadelphia under Andy Reid. He really has done a great job of having his program compete at a high level for such a long time.
Well, they're certainly one of the model teams in the NFC. When you look at I can't even keep track of how many NFC championship games they've been to. They've been to a Super Bowl. They've got the best win-loss record in the NFC over that span, and Andy's done a great job of just creating an environment that's a winning culture. So, that's something we talk about and we aspire to be, and we've got a lot of respect for what they've done there.
And, Coach, finally, keys to your ball club getting off to a 2-0 start. What do you have to do today against Philadelphia?
Well, the first thing is we've got to win the turnover battle. That's critical in today's game. I think we've got to win the field position battle as well. And then, offensively, one of the things we've talked about is really eliminating sacks in this game. They do a great job of rushing the passer, and then defensively, affecting the quarterback. If we can do those things, we certainly give ourselves a better chance.
Coach, best of luck.
Thanks, Deke.
And, Bobby, when you look at the big stats talking about the New Orleans Saints and the Philadelphia Eagles, it is how teams are built. And we talk about tonight the New York Giants and the Cowboys. The Giants are a physical defensive team. They're a team that's built to run the football. The Saints are a team that's built, obviously, around offense and better on defense this year, bringing in a coordinator. And the Eagles, much built like the Saints, Bobby. They are a turnover opportunistic defense that has done some things. And we hit on this earlier, but the numbers are just too overbearing not to point out again. Since 1999, Bobby, in the NFC, they are plus 40 in the turnover ratio. That trails only Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay won a Super Bowl. And when they are even, like if today's even, they are only 2 games above 500 since 1999. They're 22-20. So when it comes back toward the other team's way, they don't have any success at all. And if the Saints were to be just +1 today in the turnover battle, Bobby, the trend shows that the Saints are going to win this game, as Philadelphia, in the negative in the turnover battle, is 19-29-1. Since 1999.
Well, you can't let the Eagles have the kind of game they had against Carolina, because that's patented Eagles football. they have 5 sacks, they create 7 turnovers. No, we got to protect Drew Brees, and he will get rid of the ball. Now, you give up a couple of sacks. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but you have to protect the football and not turn it over. And then you're looking at the Eagles' defense, how they take advantage of the opponent. I mean, scoring a defensive touchdown since 1999, they're 18-2. And when they return a pick six, an interception for a touchdown, they're 15-0. So Drew Brees knows that. Coach Payton knows they got to protect the football, play the field position battle. It doesn't matter. You don't, even an ugly win, just win the game. You know, it might be a field position battle. You might not be hitting on all cylinders like a number one offense you'd expect. But the bottom line is sometimes a throwaway and you have to put in the football, play field position might be the best option. Don't let the Eagles, you know, win that turnover battle. Make them earn their points. Don't give up a defensive touchdown. Don't give us special teams, you know, touchdown. I'm concerned with our special teams. Obviously, the way they performed against the Lions, because the Eagles definitely could take advantage of that with Deshaun Jackson and also with Hobbs returning kickoff.
Only one significant drive last week for Philadelphia. I believe it was a 10-play drive. It was about 70 yards in 7 minutes or so. Other than that, Bobby, a punt return for a touchdown. They had a scoop and a score for a touchdown last week. And the two of the other drives, a one-play 10-yard drive for a touchdown, a one-play 9-yard drive for a touchdown. So their offense did not have to work at all. If they're going to get points, if this is going to be a shootout day, the Saints at least have to make them work for it.
And, Dika, looking at this other number, you know, we talk about third down, you know, defense. When the Eagles, if the Saints could keep them around 30%, you know, conversion rate, I mean, that's outstanding. But if the Eagles are able to convert on third down, when they're around 50% since 1999, they're 30-4. So you look at all these numbers, I mean, it definitely comes into play. And even a shootout type game. Now, this is with Donovan McNabb. And if you look at McNabb, what he's been able to accomplish, both him and Drew Brees, now he won't be playing, since 2002, you look at the top NFL passers. It's all names we're familiar with: Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Brett Favre, Drew Brees, and McNabb. You know, you look at wins, all those quarterbacks are up there. So the key is don't turn over the football, and I think the Saints will be in good shape.
All right, Bobby, give me your prediction quickly.
I think the Saints are going to win by double digits. I'm going to go 34-20 Saints.
That's the Cajun Cannon Bobby Hebert. Catch his halftime commentary and on the point after. Up next, Saints and Eagles live from the Lincoln, Philadelphia.
Down yonder in my hometown, every Sunday we party down. Look at that nation gathered around. Everybody make the who that sound. I don't care what people say, I know the Saints will go all the way. The black and gold are here to stay, down in Houdat town, making the Houdat sound. Come on, live it now.
Pennsylvania, this is Jim Henderson. The challenge for the Saints in all three areas are these here today. On defense, they must stop a Philadelphia ground game that the Eagles will have to rely on by choice and necessity. Given their quarterback situation and lack of quality receivers, the Eagles figure to pound the rock. After the first week of the season, they are 4th in the NFL in rushing, 32nd and last in passing. They will want to keep the ball out of the passing hand of Drew Brees and really out of the passing hand of their own quarterback. They are both big and slim up front. Their starting offensive line goes 340, 350, 330, 358, and 320. But with starting right tackle Sean Andrews going on IR this week and without their starting left guard, there's not a lot of depth. The Eagle defense is its usual nasty ball-hawking self. They treated Jake Delhomme and the Panthers more roughly last week than the Saints ever had. 5 sacks, 5 interceptions, 2 forced fumbles. Their 2 corners, Asante Samuel and Sheldon Brown, had 3 picks. This is not the Lions' secondary. Watch for the Eagle pass rush over Jermon Bushrod. Right defensive ends Trent Cole and former Saint Darren Howard had 3 sacks against Carolina. The Saints' offense is number 1 in the league. The Eagle defense is number 1. Neither for nothing. With points much more difficult to come by today, the Saints must improve in their kicking game. You can't afford a block of a 34-yard field goal as John Carney suffered last week. kick coverage must improve as well. In Ellis Hobbs returning kickoffs and Deshaun Jackson punts, the Eagles boast two guys who've been to the end zone and know how to get there. Each team essentially played their jamboree games a week ago in 28 and 18-point wins. We'll get a much better idea what each is made of today. The pregame show will continue after these messages on the New Orleans Saints Radio Network.
And now with today's starting lineup, old Hondo. Hondo, take it away.
Thank you, Hoke. First of all, we'll talk about the Philadelphia Eagles of Andy Reid, 1-0 on the season. The primary change for them on either offense, defense, or special teams, Kevin Kolb does get the start at quarterback. His first start of his career, the third-year man out of Houston who's appeared in 8 career games without distinction. Donovan McNabb inactive today, as is Michael Vick, who won't be eligible to play until next week. So it's Kevin Kolb with Jeff Garcia behind him at quarterback. At wide receiver are Kevin Curtis along with the dangerous Deshaun Jackson. Brent Selleck is the tight end. The left tackle is Jason Peters. The left guard, Nick Cole. The center is Jamal Jackson. The right guard, Max Gene Gillis. And the right tackle is Winston Justice. Behind Kevin Kolb, the ever-dangerous Brian Westbrook at running back with Leonard Weaver, the fullback. For the Saints on defense, the primary change along the defensive front. Kendrick Clancy injured and inactive today. He'll be replaced by Remy Adele at the right defensive tackle position. The other tackle is Cedric Ellis. On either end, Charles Grant along with Will Smith. The linebackers you know well, Scott Fajita, Jonathan Vilma, and Scott Shanley. Jabari Greer and Tracy Porter on the corners. The strong safety is Roman Harper. And Darren Sharper, after 2 pickoffs a week ago, the free safety. For the Saints offensively, Marcus Colston and Devery Henderson open at wide receiver. Jeremy Shockey is the tight end. The left tackle is Jerron Bushrod. The left guard, Carl Nix. The center, Jonathan Goodwin. The right guard, Jari Evans. And the right tackle, John Stinchcomb. Drew Brees, who threw 6 touchdown passes a week ago, is the quarterback. Behind him, Reggie Bush, along with the fullback, Keith Evans. For the Eagles in their 4-3 defensively, under new defensive coordinator Sean McDermott. The ends are Victor Abiamiri along with Trent Cole. The tackles are Mike Patterson and Broderick Bunkley. The linebackers have Chris Gokong and Akeem Jordan at strong and weak. The middle linebacker is Omar Gaither. Pair of excellent corners in Asante Samuel along with Sheldon Brown. The free safety is Macho Harris, and the strong safety is Quentin Michael. Hope.
And now the Drew Brees pregame interview is brought to you by Oakland Hart Jewelers.
And now, ladies and gentlemen,
Drew, week 2, ball club off to a 1-0 start. Talk about fast starts in the game, fast start to the season. Be a big one to get this one today.
No, definitely, because they're a great opponent. One of the best teams in the NFC, and we just know the challenge that we're going to face. Great defense, great offense, and they play with a great sense of attitude. And obviously, I think their winning tradition is what we're wanting to start here and establish here in New Orleans, a perennial playoff team and that kind of thing. So, in order to be able to compete, you obviously got to go and win games like this.
Drew, last week in their victory over Carolina, the Eagles forced 7 turnovers. Is there anything in particular that they're doing to force those turnovers?
They're just that's just the way they're coached. That's the way they play. They put a premium on getting turnovers. They understand what that does for their team and their offense. Giving them a short field, creating those momentum shifts in the game, and it's a big part of what's made them so successful.
Defensively, they've had a pretty good start to the season. Offensively, you have as well. One would think, Drew, this is a matchup that may come down just to turnovers and maybe who has the ball last.
You definitely say that the turnover ratio is going to make a difference. It does in just about every game, but especially a game like this. Really beyond that, it's about being efficient. It's about taking advantage of the opportunities when you get them, scoring points when you can, and then obviously at times playing the field position game.
Drew, since 2006 when you arrived in New Orleans, the Saints receivers lead the league in yards after the catch. You guys seem to be on the same page, and they really do a good job after catching the football.
No, definitely. Yards after catch. The West Coast offense was founded on that principle, and that you throw a 5-yard pass, and that's just as good as a run, because the opportunity for that guy to then go make something happen after make one guy miss, and all of a sudden it becomes a 20 or 25-yard play or a 50-yard play. That's where you're really making hay. So our philosophy is we're going to spread it around, try to keep a defense off balance, play with great tempo, and just put ourselves in a position to succeed.
Finally, Drew, your keys offensively to be successful today against a very good Philly defense.
Well, we have to take care of the football first and foremost. We need to be good in short yardage situations, converting third downs, play the field position game at times, take advantage of the opportunities when we get them, be able to handle the pressure, and yet understand the opportunity to make big plays when they do bring pressure as well, and just be able to finish the game out. Like most games in this league come down to the last play.
Drew, best of luck.
Thank you.
And we'll be back with the kickoff of today's game after these messages on the New Orleans Saints Radio Network.
That our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Miss Bianca Ryan with our national anthem as we pause 10 seconds for stations to identify themselves on the New Orleans Saints Radio Network.
And let's go right down to Kristian Garic for a River Paris disposal. Saints sideline report. Kristian?
Okay, I was told by safety Darren Sharper earlier in the week they wanted to match the energy from this Eagles crowd that's going to feed the Eagles. They wanted to match that energy and intensity and hopefully get the crowd to turn on Kevin Cobb if he starts out slowly. Also, Mike Bell is absolutely jacked up to play this game. He's pacing the sidelines, clenching his fist, banging on his chest, ready to go.
Well, these two teams will be ready to go after each other, each off to a 1-0 start, each with high hopes. And as I mentioned in the open, you got the number one offense, albeit after 1 week of the season, against the number one defense. So that's a pretty good matchup.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to read too much into that because, you look at the Saints going against the Lions last week. And I mean, how many times are you going to face a caliber, a team like Carolina last week where they're going to give the ball to you 7 times and you don't expect to come out of that with a win? So, but I'll tell you what, I think a lot of people around the league figure this is going to be one of the matchups because, just a couple boosts down, we got some names like Buck, Aikman, and down the field, Oliver. What do we got? We got Hondo, Hokie, Wrongway, and Gomer. How does that match up?
Boy, does seem to be a disparity there, doesn't there? Our referee today is Alberto Riveron. I can never recall him refereeing a Saints game, but he's got the duties today as the captains meet at midfield for the toss of the coin. Jonathan Vilma down there along with Drew Brees. Jari Evans, who hails from this area, is one of the Saints captains, and Troy Evans as well.
That is heads. That's tails. What is your call? Heads. He called heads. It is a heads. You win the toss. You want your choice now or the second half? You want to receive? Which way you want to kick? Turn around, please. New Orleans won the toss, so we'll receive. Good luck, gentlemen.
And today's opening kickoff was brought to you by Louisiana Partners for Highway Safety. The Saints wouldn't think of running downfield with their helmets unbuckled, so buckle up when you drive. Brought to you by Louisiana Partners for Highway Safety, reminding everybody to buckle up.
Well, Jari Evans gets the honor of calling the coin toss and does so correctly. The Saints will take in the football on an absolutely beautiful day here in Philadelphia.
I'm going to tell you what, I mean, when we got here yesterday afternoon, we knew as soon as we walked out of the airport that the humidity was a whole lot different than it is about 700 miles south of here. So it's a pleasant day for football. I'm not going to say it's cool, but it's certainly not brutal condition like we've had down at home.
Well, the Saints obviously want to start fast. You always do, but hard to start much faster than they did against the Lions a week ago when their first 2 drives resulted in touchdowns. But, you talk about taking the crowd out of the game. They want to get the crowd into the game and on Kevin Cobb's back here as early as possible.
Well, again, I mean, and what do you expect from Kevin Cobb? I was just over there talking with the Eagles people in their pregame show, talking to Mike Quick. He goes, we don't know anything about Kevin Cobb. We've seen him in practice. We've seen him in some preseason games. We don't know what he's going to be like out there. So you're basically facing another rookie quarterback.
You are, and we'll address his situation when the Eagles go on offense. The Saints will drop Courtney Roby back deep along with Pierre Thomas. Roby, who returned to the team this week to help out this beleaguered special teams unit. Pierre Thomas playing his first game after being inactive a week ago. Wearing a very heavy brace on his right knee. He is the up back of 2 as David Akers has the football teed up at the 30-yard line to our right. Approaches that football, and we are underway. A kickoff down the middle of the field to the 5-yard line to Roby. Right side 10, he's to the 15, the 20. Cuts it up to the 25, or he is met hard by a couple of Eagle tacklers. Might have gotten it up to the 26-yard line. So the Saints with a return in the hands of Roby. Sean Jones, a backup safety, making the tackle to former Brown. That's a 20-yard return for Courtney Roby. The Eagles lead this series 16-10. Andy Reid is 3-2 as the head coach of the Eagles against the Saints. 1st and 10, New Orleans with the ball on the Saint 26-yard line. They will open in the shotgun. Breeze takes the snap, looks downfield, throws over the middle, catch made up to the 36-yard line. It's taken in there by David Thomas, the second-string tight end who gets a chance to start in this opening 11. And that's good for 9 yards.
He's not just a second-string tight end. He's a second-thought tight end. I mean, he just came into town last week. Saints had to kind of get him caught up to speed or a few things that he can do out there. That's 2 games in a row now when he's opened in there at tight end.
Quentin Michael on the stop. They're giving him a favorable spot and calling it a first down for the Saints at the New Orleans 36. Here's Breeze on the rollout. Dumps it off underneath to Shockey. And that tight end will be taken down just short of the 45-yard line by Chris Gokong, the strong side linebacker. It was Shockey who drew the most boos of any Saint offensive player being introduced here today.
And I think the Eagles fans just realized it was him that just caught that ball. And he loved it as he came out there through the tunnel. I mean, he was kind of waving his arms up in the air like those people were cheering him.
That's a gain of 8, and it sets up 2nd and a long 2 for the Saints from the New Orleans 43-yard line. Breeze in the shotgun again. Eagles bring 4. Breeze with time, throws over the middle. This is caught by Shockey into the 41-yard line of the Eagles, taken down by the strong safety Quentin Michael. So the Saints tight ends, you're really getting a dose of Drew Brees here early. That's good for 13.
I mean, all this kind of stuff is just safe passes. This is not like Philadelphia coming out there on their first series where they want to gain some confidence in their quarterback. This is just Drew Brees being Drew Brees, what he does every Sunday. 1st and 10 Saints, the ball at the Eagle 41. Running formation now, and they'll hand it off straight ahead to Mike Bell, and Mike Bell surges down to around the 37-yard line of Philadelphia, where the defensive tackle Mike Patterson, the 5th-year man out of USC, brings him down after a gain of 3 as the Saints hit the ground for the first time in this drive. Bell will check out of the lineup. Coming back in is David Thomas, the free agent acquisition in preseason when the Saints suffered a number of injuries at that spot. 2nd and 6, football at the Eagle 37. Backs in an eye, handoff to Reggie Bush, and Reggie Bush runs right side and maybe gets a yard down to around the 35-yard line. Hakeem Jordan, the 3rd-year man out of James Madison University, making the stop. He had an interception and a sack last week against the Panthers, and Jake Delhomme, the first of his career in each category. So the Saints facing a 3rd and 4 at the Eagle 35-yard line as this crowd comes to life, trying to halt this Saint march right here. 2 wideouts to the left, 1 to the right. Breeze comes up and identifies the onrushing Eagles, retreats into the shotgun. Puts Lance Moore in motion. Here come the Eagles off the right side. Breeze rolls to the right, throws inside the 30 to the 29-yard line. The reception is made by Jeremy Shockey, and that is another first down as Breeze rolls away from the pressure that figures to come off the right side of the Eagle defensive line. And that time it just kind of, the pocket was just kind of collapsing right around Drew Brees. It wasn't like anybody was really getting right into his face, but he saw enough pressure right up the middle that he knew he couldn't step up into it, so he goes to the right. Nice job of Shockey just getting out there and knowing where to pick up the first down.
5-yard gain gives the Saints a first down at the Eagle 30. Backs off set on the end around. They're going to run it with Meacham. Got a blocker in front of him. Inside the 25, inside the 20. Still on his feet as he's pushed out of bounds. down around the 15-yard line of Philadelphia by the strong safety Quentin Michael, and that's good for 13 yards and another Saint first down.
I'm getting a little bit confused by the running style of Robert Meacham. Sometimes last week on some of those kickoff returns, he looked like he knew exactly what he was doing. Right here, as he kind of gets the corner turn, he looks hesitant as to take the ball up the field. I mean, it's just kind of something I'm seeing with his body language.
1st and 10 Saints at the Eagle 15, empty backfield for Breeze, who puts Bush in motion. He joins Breeze in the backfield. Fake pitch to him. Breeze rolls right, stops, throws into the end zone, leaping reception. Colston, touchdown! Marcus Colston, just as he did a week ago against the Lions, caps the drive with a 15-yard touchdown reception. There is a flag down at the 7-yard line of the Eagles. The Saints pointing in the Eagles' direction. Penalty on Philadelphia. Touchdown for the Saints.
Well, Drew Brees just threw a touchdown pass, and South Coast Solar will donate $150 to the Breeze Dream Foundation. Dependable, renewable energy from SouthCoastSolar.com.
Well, you know, lots of times coaches will talk about scripting their first 15 plays on offense. That couldn't have been scripted any better for the Saints as it was a week ago.
And the whole thing was, I mean, I think the Saints only ran the ball 3 times in that entire drive right there. One time with Reggie, a time with Mike Bell, and then the end around with Robert Meacham.
John Carney's extra point is up and through, and the Saints take the opening kickoff, drive the length of the field for the score. So here early in the first quarter with 10:54 to play, the Saints jump on top 7-0. This is the New Orleans Saints Radio Network. Capped on a 15-yard touchdown strike, Breeze to Marcus Colston, and the Saints are on top 7-0.
And in that drive, Drew Brees, 5 of 5, 53 yards. And the Saints also got 21 yards rushing right there from 3 different ball carriers. You had Reggie Bush, Mike Bell, and then Robert Meacham on the end around. So mixing it up a little bit right there, but pretty impressive by the Saints to move that ball down the field.
It was. And back deep for the Eagles, returning this kick from inside the 1, back to the 10, the 15, up to the 20, to the 23-yard line, with a flag down at the 42-yard line. I believe that was Eldra Buckley on the return. They've changed up some of their guys in the return game.
Well, where that flag came from way out there on the Eagles bench, I mean, that's got to be a holding or a legal block against the Eagles.
Number 28 on the return during the run back. 10-yard penalty. First down.
That was Ellis Hobbs on the return. Let me correct that. And so a penalty on the Eagles after the 23-yard return will set the football back to the Philadelphia 15, 1st and 10.
Well, Jim, I mean, here do we go, right? I mean, what do you expect right now? I mean, if it's me and I'm Andy Reid and I'm calling plays, I mean, I'm going to go Brian Westbrook. And what do? First play, split him out wide. Nobody in the backfield.
No, an empty backfield for Kevin Cobb. And he takes the direct snap, throws short, catch made 20-yard line, and ridden down at the 21-yard line is Macklin by Shanley. Jeremy Macklin, their first-round draft choice out of Missouri. A very safe throw by Cobb to open things up in a 6-yard gain.
Well, that's certainly what you want to do. Now, you know, a big difference between Cobb and Stafford last week is that Cobb's been around for a little while. I mean, he's been able to be out here, see some games, hear the crowd, been on the road and all that kind of stuff, even though he really hadn't played.
2nd and a long 4 from the 21. Cobb handing it off to Westbrook. He has to give some ground in the backfield. Finally does turn the corner before he's forced to the boundary by Jonathan Vilma along with Scott Shanley. Give him a 2-yard gain. It'll set up 3rd down.
Well, I got to know this. If the Saints are going to contain Westbrook back there, they're going to have to start doing a better job of tackling. Just on his first carry right there, they missed 2 tackles in the backfield. It's early in the ball game, but I've seen a lot of times with the Saints defense, something like that becomes contagious with them.
So it is 3rd down, 3rd and 2 from the Eagle 23-yard line. And a Wildcat formation with Deshaun Jackson now taking a direct snap. He's going to run it right, outrun Bobby McCray to the corner, pirouettes out of a tackle by Jabari Greer, runs to the safety of the far sideline and picks up the 1st down. So Deshaun Jackson running out of the Wildcat formation. He's very capable of that. 2nd-year wide receiver from California picks up the 1st down on a gain of 5.
Well, there's another case right there where, all right, now Bobby McCray is not going to run down Deshaun Jackson right here, but Jabari Greer needs to come up and make that tackle. He made a nice play to read it and get up there, but if he makes the tackle, the Eagles are in a punting situation now.
So it's 1st and 10 now at the Eagle 29. We are just underway. 9:22 to play opening quarter. Saints on top 7-0. Cobb back under center with Gunn back behind him. That's Westbrook and 2 receivers to his right. Saints showing blitz off the corner and coming with McCray. Cobb with time, throws it downfield. Wide open Jackson. He's at the 30, 25-20, 15-10, 5, touchdown. The Saints couldn't get to Kevin Cobb, and Cobb found Deshaun Jackson, and that's good for 71 yards and a touchdown.
Well, breakdown in the secondary right there. I mean, you got to know where Deshaun Jackson is. He's their speed guy on the outside. That just made it an easy throw for Kevin Cobb just to step up in the pocket. He really wasn't getting that much heat from the Saints defense and just hit his receiver in stride.
Well, so much for getting the fans turned on Kevin Cobb. They are turned firmly in his corner at the moment, at least.
And no reason for them not to be. And there again, I mean, that's just a breakdown in the Saints secondary. We saw a ton of that last year. Didn't see it last week where they gave up the big, huge play. They had the one play to Calvin Johnson, but that was because of a missed tackle. But that right there, just a breakdown on the back end.
Akers adds the extra point. The Saints gave up 67 passes of 25 or more yards the past 2 years. That one's good for 71 yards on the score. So a timeout on the field. With 9:03 to play in the first quarter, the Saints and the Eagles tied at 7. The
sideline report.
Hokie, earlier in the week, Greg Williams, defensive coordinator for the Saints, said Deshaun Jackson is a game changer. We certainly saw that right there. He wanted his secondary to be mindful of where he is all the time. They lost track of him there.
Finally found him in the end zone, 71 yards downfield. Here's Akers' second kickoff of the day. It's a strong one that drives Roby 5 yards deep. He will kneel, and the Saints will start at their 20 on the touchback. So there is a timeout on the field with 9:03 to play first quarter. Saints and the Eagles tied at 7. This is the New Orleans Saints Radio Network.
The lawyers at Stanley Reuter Ross.
Eat free at IHOP. Buy one adult entry and get one kid's meal free from 4 to 10 p.m. daily. IHOP. Come hungry. Giving up that deep pass right there. He was not pleased at all with the performance of Roman Harper.
Yeah, and some of his teammates wrapped their arms around his shoulder pads as well. He's sitting next to Jabari Greer and also Randall Gay on the far sideline. And had Greer not missed that tackle of Deshaun Jackson on the Wildcat, the Eagles might have had to punt just prior to that, too.
Well, they would definitely been in a 4th down situation. So, yeah, I mean, just, you know, it's all those little things right there to start adding up.
1st and 10 Saints at their 20-yard line. 7-7 game first quarter. Breeze. 2 wideouts to the left, 2 to the right. Short set. Can't find anything to his right. Look out from behind. He's dropped back at the 11-yard line. Taken down over there by the defensive end, Trent Cole, who had a sack and forced a fumble a week ago in that game against Carolina.
Well, he's coming around Jamon Bushrod right there. And, I mean, you know, Drew actually had some time in the pocket. It wasn't like he got the pressure immediately. He's back there. He looks. He pumps. He's looking again. Bushrod can only hold a guy out like that for so long.
So a loss on the play of 9 yards. Will set up 2nd and 19 from the Saint 11, and this crowd comes to life. And play action for Breeze. Nothing to his left. Throws over the middle, incomplete into a crowd intended for Jeremy Shockey. His first option looked to be Marcus Colston to his left. He was covered a bit deeper than he was Devery Henderson. So Breeze had to come back to his 3rd target. And right in the middle of the field, he misses Jeremy Shockey.
Well, I mean, I think he was going after the matchup right there with Shockey on Gaither, the middle linebacker. Said, I'm going to trust my guy to make the play. Drew just threw it too far to the middle of the field.
3rd and 19 from the Saint 11-yard line, and this usual sellout crowd, and the Link comes to its feet. Breeze in the shotgun, standing at the 6, calling for the football. Eagles bring 4. Breeze steps up, throws short, and the reception is made. Banged out of bounds beyond the 25-yard line, and short of the first down will be Marcus Colston, and the Saints will have to punt it away. Asante Samuel, who had an interception a week ago, knocks him out of bounds. Well, everybody was worried about Trent Cole and Darren Howard coming off that corner, working against Jermon Bushrod. We mentioned earlier in the game that was the side they overloaded, and earlier it paid off in the sack. So Thomas Morstead comes on to punt the football away to Deshaun Jackson. angling it toward the near sideline and hanging it high. Beautiful punt. Jackson calls for the fair catch, makes it around the 23-yard line with Malcolm Jenkins in his face. There is a flag down, and Heath Evans is applauding on the near sideline. So we'll await this.
And that flag is off the field of play, Jim. I mean, it's actually well onto the sidelines of the Eagles bench.
Gorgeous punt of 49 yards by Morstead, who's done a great job as the rookie punter for the Saints.
Personal foul, number 91, unnecessary roughness, the receiving team. The penalty will be enforced half the distance from the end of the kick. Timeout.
That's on Chris Clemens, whose uncle once played for the Saints, Charlie Clemens. So a timeout on the field, 7:57 to play opening quarter. Saints and Eagles tied at 7. This is the New Orleans Saints Radio Network.
The Saints Radio Network next Sunday at noon when the Saints take on the Bills in Buffalo. Turn up the Saints Radio Network.
Meanwhile, these Philadelphia Eagles will be home for the second straight week, taking on the Kansas City Chiefs, and then they have their bye week. The Saints will play at Buffalo home against the Jets and then enjoy theirs. Kevin Cobb, having thrown the first touchdown of his career, brings the Eagles up to the line of scrimmage, 1st and 10 at their 12-yard line. One and running back behind him, and that's going to be Westbrook. Right side, turns it up, and a nice gain as he crosses the 17-yard line and up close to the 18. Brian Westbrook, the 8th-year man out of Villanova, runs low behind that huge offensive line. He's hard to find.
Well, and it's not only that. He's so shifty, and I mean, he's also got great pad level. Look at him right there. The way that he just keeps going forward, even when people hit him. He's got those powerful legs. He runs through the arm tackle. So, I mean, he is pretty well a complete back, other than he just ain't big.
Gain of 6 brings up 2nd and 4 at the Eagle 18. Again, it's Deshaun Jackson, this time handing off out of the Wildcat formation. And this is Westbrook, who is split out wide to the right, running with that inside handoff for the first down as he crosses the Eagle 25-yard line. That's a gain of 8. And for the first time, the Saints defense getting a chance to try to defense this Wildcat formation that so many teams around the NFL are employing.
And that's one of the things right there that was somewhat of a mystery. I don't really know that the Eagles ran it all that much in week 1. When McNabb is in there, they typically don't do something like that. So that's just another thing that Greg Williams is going to have to defend for in this game, especially at halftime, to make some kind of adjustment.
They didn't run it at all a week ago, but they did run Jackson on an end around. Here's Cobb with everybody in tight, and the flag has been thrown. And procedure call for extra false start against the Eagles.
Offense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
Deshaun Jackson guilty of the false start. So set the football back to the 20-yard line. Jackson ran twice last week for 33 yards, including a 25-yard gain, but those were on end-around plays and not out of the Wildcat formation.
Well, he's such a weapon wherever he lines up. I mean, you need to get the ball in his hands, whether it's on reverses or little bubble screens, use him as a punt returner.
1st and 15 from the 20. Run it straight ahead out of the I formation with Westbrook, following the lead block of Leonard Weaver, the longtime Seattle Seahawk, and that's good for 4 yards.
And this NFL scoreboard is brought to you by Bud Light, official beer of the Saints. Carolina leads Atlanta 3-0. It's Detroit 3, Minnesota 0. Cincinnati in the first quarter leads Green Bay 7-0. Arizona 7, Jacksonville 3. Oakland and Kansas City are scoreless, as well as New England and the Jets. And the Titans lead Houston 7-0. And Washington over St. Louis 3-0. All of those are first quarter scores.
2nd and 11 from the Eagle 24. Cobb in the shotgun. Saints coming off the corner with Fujita. He throws near sideline. It's broken up. Intended for Curtis, and Tracy Porter got his hand in there at the 27-yard line and swatted it away. So the first 3rd and long situation that Kevin Cobb will have to face as the Eagles starter.
Well, let's see what, again, I mean, it's almost like every situation that Kevin Cobb gets in right here in this first quarter of the ball game is somewhat new for the Saints. Where does he like to go? Does he like to throw it downfield? Does he like to hit the underneath stuff and kind of let his guy take over and get the run after catch? So, I mean, we're all kind of learning on the run here.
3rd and 11 from the 24. Everybody bunched in tight, though Cobb's in the shotgun. Movement up front. Saints jump back on sides with Hargrove. Here's Cobb with a lot of time. Now he rolls out of the pocket. Chased by Smith. Throws the ball into the Saints bench, incomplete. That was the one thing they were worried about. Kevin Cobb was holding the ball too long. That time nothing opened up for him, so he threw the ball away, and he'll punt it away to the Saints. As we pause 10 seconds for station identification on the New Orleans Saints Radio Network. Sav Raka from Australia to punt the football away, and Reggie Bush, who had his problems as a return man for the Saints a week ago. Flag has been thrown, and this is a dandy punt, angled toward the near sideline, taken in at the 18 by Bush. Straight ahead 25, and he'll be ridden out of bounds short of the 30-yard line, but there's a flag down back at the Eagle 22-yard line. The coverage downfield provided by Quentin Michael, the safety who was born in New Orleans. Get this sorted out by the officiating crew led by Alberto Riveron.
I think it's against the Eagles now. I mean, you know, if Sean Payton right here, do you want to re-kick this thing again?
Kicking team, 5-yard penalty from the previous spot, 4th down.
That's an illegal shift on the Eagles, so that will cost them 5 more yards. Joselio Hansen, reserve cornerback, one of those guilty of that infraction. So Reggie Bush will get another chance at the 30-yard line. This time is where he awaits the punt of Raka, who averaged 42.8 per punt a week ago on 4 efforts against the Carolina Panthers. And the Eagles don't have enough players on the field. Now finally their 11th man comes out as a gunner on the right side of the formation. And now we're set to go. Raka standing back at the 5, steps into the football, and this is a high, short, lazy effort that's going to go out of bounds. And that's a very poor effort. Goes into the Eagle bench. We'll see where they're going to mark this one off. The official walking up the sideline and stopping right around the 47-yard line of the Saints. And so the Saints with great field position when we return after the Raka shank. 5:15 to play first quarter. Eagles and Saints tied at 7. That's just a 35-yard punt. This is the New Orleans Saints Radio Network.
Hokie and Jim, a couple of Saints defenders are getting their cleats changed, going with the longer surface, the longer spike. Of course, the natural grass surface here at Lincoln Financial Field is a little longer, so they're changing their spikes to trying to get a little better traction.
All right, we'll see the effects of that. 1st and 10 Saints at the New Orleans 47. 5:15 to play opening quarter. Each team has scored on their initial possession. It's a 7-7 game. Bush in motion. Breeze in the shotgun. 3 receivers to his right. That's where he looks initially and throws underneath, and it's dropped at midfield by Devery Henderson. I was watching Devery in warm-ups, how well he was catching the ball, and thinking how well he caught the ball a week ago, and how well, for the most part, he had caught it during training camp.
Well, right there, he just takes his eyes off the ball. He's not going to get much of a gain out of that, even if he does catch it. But I think you know, he's kind of aware of that Eagles defense and how they come up and strike people.
2nd and 10 from the Saint 47. Breeze up under center, has Colston wide to the left, Henderson wide right. Backs in an eye, tailback Bell gets the call in a big hole. 45, 40, 35, down to the 31-yard line of the Eagles, where he is upended. A terrific run of 23 yards for number 21, Mike Bell. The weak side linebacker, Hakeem Jordan on the stop, but 1st and 10 Saints at the 30-yard line of the Eagles, and they're going to hurry up to the line of scrimmage and try to get the Eagles back on their heels. Hand it off again to Bell. He bangs straight ahead. This time there's not much there, and he's to the 28-yard line again. It's Jordan on the stop.
Well, the run prior to that, I mean, that was just kind of all on the shoulders of Mike Bell right there, reading the cutback lane. The Saints started that run to the left, and he just saw the huge gash open up to the right, and there's not a thing in the world wrong with that. I mean, as a running back, you've got to use your eyes to find where that soft spot is on the defense.
After a gain of 2, it's 2nd and 8 at the Eagle 28. Backs off set. Running back is Bell. Meacham in motion. Right to left, play action. Here's Breeze, nothing to his left, dumps it off underneath to Bell. And Mike Bell inside the 20 to the 19-yard line. 1st down Saints. Chris Gokong, the strong side linebacker, on the stop after a gain of 9.
Pretty good heads-up play right there by Mike Bell as well. I mean, he catches the ball on the check-down route. He's not Drew's first option, but Drew goes, all right, I know that Mike Bell knows where the sticks is. He doesn't try and do anything fancy. Just pick up the 1st down, which is what he did.
With 3:47 to play opening quarter, 7-7 game. 1st and 10 Saints at the Eagle 19. Breeze up under center. Play action. Throws again underneath. Reggie Bush looking for a block. Scoots down to the 10-yard line. A nice gain of about 8, perhaps 9 yards before Sheldon Brown, the cornerback on the right side, brings him down. Well, Drew doing a good job of spreading that ball around again.
I mean, that is his forte, probably above anything else. Maybe his accuracy comes close to that, but he keeps everybody involved.
2nd and 1, handed off to Bush, has to give ground. Now he turns the corner and picks up the first down as he scampers out of bounds on the near sideline at the 7-yard line of the Eagles. It'll be 1st and goal.
Man, it makes you a little nervous every time. Now, right there, he happened to use a good stiff arm and then use his speed to get out there to the boundary to pick up that first down. But if he doesn't use a good stiff arm right there, he gets tackled in the backfield.
Number 64 is open.
Zach Streif checking in with the Saints only having 2 tight ends active on their roster. He'll check in as a additional tight end to the near side of the formation. 1st and goal from the 7. Split out Thomas. Handed off Bell. Hit in the backfield. No gain on the play. Coming up to bring him down was Quentin Michael, the 7th-year strong safety out of Boise State, whom I mentioned earlier was born in New Orleans. Perhaps even a loss on the play of a yard. They'll set the football back to the 8-yard line where it will be 2nd and goal. 2:24 to play, opening quarter. Saints and Eagles tied at 7. Saints got in the end zone on a 15-yard strike breeze to Colston. The Eagles a 71-yard completion to Deshaun Jackson. 2nd and goal from the 8-yard line. Breeze, play action, look out. Throws it out on the near sideline. Could be a lateral and goes out of bounds. Breeze was feeling all sorts of pressure from Broderick Bunkley and had to throw the ball out into the right flat before Bush was even ready for it. In fact, he never turned around to see it. So that could have been a disastrous play as once again Breeze feels some of this pass rush. The Eagles make some changes belatedly here as the Saints will look at 3rd and goal from the 8-yard line. 2 wideouts to the left, 1 to the near sideline. That is Henderson. Breeze out of the shotgun. Eagles coming up the middle. Here's Breeze. Throws it to Colston at the 5, and he'll be wrestled out of bounds there, and it'll bring up 4th and goal. Sheldon Brown on the tackle. A 3-yard gain, but on will come John Carney as the Saints will ostensibly settle for the field goal attempt of the veteran.
Well, it kind of was a little bit of confusion on the part of the Eagles secondary. Their defense. They put the people in late, but they got a couple of people to break free, and that made Drew have to throw the ball before he was ready. And it's just a nice job out there tackling Marcus Colston in a one-on-one situation.
Just a 23-yard attempt, left hash mark for John Carney. Mark Brunell to hold. Carney 1 out of 2 on his resurrection of his Saints career. Puts that one up and through, and the Saints retake the lead. With 1:54 to play opening quarter, Saints 10 and the Eagles 7.
Well, the Saints were kind of fortuitous right there on that bad punt by the Eagles. Got the ball in real good field position. You told me during the break, said you got to score here. But I think we both were thinking touchdown, not necessarily field goal. You march the ball down there, you get it inside the red zone, you get it 1st and goal from down there, and you really can't do a whole lot with it. And I think that's a big credit right there to the Eagles defense, that once you get down there in the red zone, that's when things become thorny down there. Everybody's coming at you, that they're going to pin their ears back. You don't have as much room to work with down there, and that's basically what the Eagles relied on. They came with a run blitz where they tackled Mike Bell in the backfield, and then, of course, they came after Drew Brees, put him in a hurry situation where he had to get the ball out to Colston and didn't really give him time to look for anybody in the end zone.
Brees certainly feeling a lot more heat than he did a week ago against the Lions.
Well, and I mean, he's got to know that coming in. I don't think there's any doubt about that. That Drew, he's been around this league too long. He knows this defense too well. He's had to play against them enough. He studies too much that, hey, I'm not going to be able to sit there and survey the field this week like I did last week.
Quarterbacks always talk about that clock inside their head, the stopwatch, and that's one thing Brees has always had and accounts for how seldom he gets sacked. It's not always great protection. So Ellis Hobbs back deep, awaiting the kickoff by Morstead. He angles it to the sideline, and that could go out of bounds. It does. It hits at the 7-yard line and goes out of bounds. So the rookie will not be happy with that effort, nor will Greg McMahon, as the Eagles will get the opportunity after the kick out of bounds to have some excellent field position here. And we'll start this drive from the 40-yard line.
Well, we talked about the Eagles on their last punt attempt. They kicked the ball out of bounds on a very poor punt. But the thing is, when you punt it out of bounds, they don't charge you the extra yardage right there. And this is the situation when the ball is sitting out at the 40-yard line right now. I mean, if you're the kickoff return team and you say you can get it out to the 40 every time, you are delighted with those results.
First and 10 for the Eagles. The ball rests at the Philadelphia 40-yard line. And once again, they'll go with a Wildcat formation. This time it's Brian Westbrook who gets the opportunity to run out of the single wing formation. They've used both Deshaun Jackson and now Brian Westbrook as Wildcats, and on that first down run, they pick up 6 yards.
Well, it's just not something, I've got to say that I think the Saints defense is kind of totally unprepared for this, because when you don't see it and you don't know that it's coming, it's kind of hard to put that personnel package in there to defend it.
Officially a gain of 5. It'll bring up 2nd and 5, and once more, they're going to go out of the Wildcat, and this time it's Deshaun Jackson putting Westbrook in motion, handing him the ball on the inside handoff. Flea flicker to Cobb. Cobb gives ground all the way back to the 28-yard line and throws the football away. So a flea flicker off the Wildcat, and it goes as an incompletion.
Well, I think you can thank Scott Fujita right there, and I believe it was Charles Grant. Both of those guys get some penetration. They never give up on the fact that, let me keep my eyes on where the ball is, and it is. It's Scott Fujita, it's Cedric Ellison, and then Charles Grant does come in, and they force Cobb into just throwing the ball out of bounds.
So Marty Mornhinweg, the offensive coordinator of the Eagles, dipping into his trick bag, but for naught there. 3rd and 5 now at the Eagle 45-yard line, and this time more conventionally, Kevin Cobb lines up in the shotgun. Calls for the football and has a lot of time. All sorts of time. Throwing it short over the middle, incomplete. Deshaun Jackson gets rocked by Jabari Greer. Well, not much of a pass rush there, was there?
Well, and that's one of the things that we're still kind of waiting to see with this 4-man rush. Can the Saints get much of a pass rush on the opposing quarterback? They did just a moment ago on the flea flicker, just because there were just so many gaps along the offensive line because people were running everywhere.
Max protection as well for the Eagles, trying to protect their third-year quarterback out of Houston, who was their first pick of the draft, 2nd round overall back in 2007. Here's Rocca's punt, and Reggie Bush isn't going to field this. Hits at the 1 and bounds through the end zone. Almost a beautiful coffin corner punt, but it hit at the 1 and just did squeak inside the pylon and out of bounds. So the Saints will have the opportunity to start at their 20 after the 30-yard effort by Rocca. Well, this is pretty much what we expected. This is a football team that is 30-18 at home. Speaking of the Eagles, they only allow 20 points per game at home. And last week, they're coming off a great effort against Carolina. Just made a miserable afternoon of it for Jake Delhomme. The Panthers only averaged 2.45 yards per play, and their passer rating was 13.7. So here's Drew Brees, 1st and 10 at the New Orleans 20-yard line. Handoff to the tailback Bell. Mike Bell dips inside the block of his fullback, and he'll be dropped short of the 25-yard line. Have not seen Pierre Thomas in a running back role yet today.
And don't really know that I don't know. I'm quite sure that there's an opportunity that he might play, but as long as Mike Bell keeps running the ball hard like that and not putting it on the ground, I really don't see a whole lot of reason that they should put him in the game, Jim.
Gain of 4 brings up 2nd and 6 at the Saint 24 in the final 30 seconds of the first quarter. Meacham resets to the right side of the formation. One back behind Brees, who's under center. He throws a little bubble screen out to the far sideline to Colston, and Colston, with Henderson blocking in front of him, surges forward and has the first down as he gets beyond the 30-yard line before Sheldon Brown brings him down on what will be the last play of the opening quarter.
And that was really a good block out there on the perimeter by Devery Henderson. That's all you need to do with that guy. Just make contact and keep contact with him and move him just one way or the other.
After 15 minutes of football, it's actually got green on it.
And no, this is one of the finer venues in the entire NFL right here. It's and you mentioned kind of earlier, it kind of looks like the stadium out there in Seattle, and yeah, it does kind of have a little bit of that look to it. But trust me, this is all Philadelphia right here.
I was watching an NFL Films presentation on Friday in which they had the top 10 toughest places to win as a visitor, and the old Veterans Stadium, I think, was ranked 2nd after Lambeau Field. That was a miserable place to play.
It was, and then you compound that with what a lot of people say are miserable fans. As we were driving in today, you're getting the what fur coming in on that bus and everything else, but just goes to show you how passionate these fans are.
1st and 10 Saints, the ball at the New Orleans 32. First play of the second quarter. Brees up under center. Play action. Has time. Throws. Coming back for the football is Henderson looking for a block, turns the corner, and he's free for a moment on the sideline. Picks up the first down before he's driven out of bounds in front of the Saint bench at the New Orleans 48-yard line. That's good for 15 yards.
Well, Debry did the same thing in the game last week against Detroit. He came back for the ball. He's got the first down, and he tries to make a little bit something more out of it. In this case, it worked out. Last week, it didn't. But a lot of times, you just got to know. You got to have that feel for you when you make that break on the football, start working back to the quarterback, where your pressure is coming from, and when's the time just to go ahead and take what you got or try and make something bigger out of it.
1st and 10 Saints at the New Orleans 48. One back, and there's some movement, and flags have been thrown here, a couple of them.
Number 73, offense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
Well, that's Jari Evans, the fourth-year man out of Bloomsburg, one of the Saints co-captains who correctly called the toss of the coin. He's from this area, born in Philadelphia, in fact. So a little bit anxious there as the Saints shift, and he moves prematurely. That'll cost the Saints 5 and bring up 1st and 15 at the New Orleans 43. Meacham in motion. One back behind Breeze. That's Bush. Breeze on the delay, gives it off to Bush. Avoids the first tackler, now forced to the sideline, and he's going to give ground and be stopped for a loss on the play back at the 39-yard line. A loss of 4 on the carry by Bush. Joselio Hansen on the stop.
Well, I hate to keep harping on it, and I really know right there, Reggie doesn't really have much of an opportunity to take that ball inside because there was a white jersey in his face right from the get-go. But you don't continually give ground. Just go ahead and minimize your losses as best you can.
So after that loss, it'll bring up 2nd and 19 from the Saint 39. Breeze in the shotgun, 2 receivers to the right, Colston to the left. He looks in Colston's direction, pumps, steps up, avoids contact, throws now to Colston, and he'll be wrapped up by a pair of defenders up around the 47-yard line of New Orleans, Hakeem Jordan being one of them, along with the middle linebacker, Omar Gaither.
Good job by the Eagles secondary right there. Drew Brees has got plenty of time to throw this ball. He's back there sitting in the pocket. He's pumping, he's looking, he's stepping up. He's getting good protection from his offensive line, but just get it to Marcus Colston and get yourself in a more manageable 3rd down situation.
Pickup of 6 brings up 3rd and 12 from the New Orleans 45. The crowd comes to life. Breeze out of the shotgun. Shockey to his left. Bush to his right. Eagles bring 4. Breeze steps up, throws, far sideline, catch made. Henderson out of bounds, first down. Coming up in front of Asante Samuel he was, and took it in at the 37-yard line of the Eagles for a New Orleans first down on a 13-yard reception.
Well, I don't know what Asante Samuel is thinking of right there. When you got a 3rd and 12 situation like that, you can't play off that far. You can play a little bit of a soft coverage out there, but once that receiver starts getting to the sticks, you've got to come up there and get on him.
Went to his 2nd straight Pro Bowl a year ago. 1st and 10 Saints at the 37 of the Eagles. Handoff Bush out of his tailback position. Bush wrapped up around the 31-yard line and thrown backward. But a pretty good gain for Reggie on a first down carry. The strong safety Quentin Michael on the stop. Bush's longest carry in the opener was 10 yards. That one's good for 6. Well, after a very fast start to this game, things have slowed down. Each team scored on its first possession.
64 is eligible.
With touchdown drives of 74 and 85 yards. 74 for the Saints. The Eagles answered with an 85-yard march. 2nd and 4 at the 31-yard line of the Eagles. Bell avoids a first tackler and is finally taken down as he dips inside the 30 to the 29-yard line of Philadelphia. The strong safety, Quentin Michael, along with the cornerback on the right side, Sheldon Brown, bringing him down after a 3-yard gain.
Well, that's just a good case right there of Mike Bell not trying to make too much out of too little. He sees where the surge is going. Look, they don't all go for first downs, and they don't all go for 6 and 7 yards a pop. Right there, he just got in right behind his tight end and his fullback and rode that surge and made what you call a manageable 3rd down situation.
Ninth play in this drive upcoming. Breeze 13 of 16 for 137 yards. Rolls to his right, throws. Ball tipped up in the air and intercepted. Taken in by Hakeem Jordan as the weak side linebacker has his 2nd interception in 2 games. Jordan showing his range from the weak side. Got back into the flight of the ball as Breeze was trying to throw the ball over the middle. Got a hand up there and tipped it to himself. And so the Saints turn the football over with 10:58 to play, second quarter. Saints 10 and Eagles 7. This is the New Orleans Saints Radio Network. So again, they'll go to the Wildcat formation on first down. Deshaun Jackson going to run with it all the way right side, trying to turn the corner, and he'll be brought down around the 32-yard line as Jonathan Vilma ranges over from his middle linebacking position to take down the make that the second-year man out of Cal after a 5-yard gain.
Well, in that situation, the Saints on their defensive line, they had Bobby McCray as the left defensive end, and they had Hargrove in there as one of the defensive tackles. Bobby McCray kind of took an inside charge and just got chipped and got knocked to the inside. I think anytime you line up against that Wildcat, especially when you're a Bobby McCray with the upfield speed that he's got, you never get yourself pushed inside.
2nd and 5 from the 32. Here's Cobb with the football, rolling right, throws short to his tight end. And this is Selleck reaching the football out and stretching it beyond the sticks, it would appear, on the near sideline for the first down. That's a gain of 5 for Brent Selleck, the third-year man out of Cincinnati, who had a touchdown last week. Cost him $10,000 afterward for the orchestrated end zone celebration down in Carolina. But he picks up the first down, and the Eagles have it 1st and 10 at the Philadelphia 37-yard line. 10:08 to play, second quarter. Saints on top, 10-7. Out of the Wildcat again. This is Westbrook running up the middle with room. Beyond the 50 into Saints territory, 47-yard line. As Brian Westbrook is taken down by Darren Sharper, and this has certainly been a formation that's been good to the Eagles. The Saints somewhat surprised. That's a 15-yard gain. They've run both Westbrook and Deshaun Jackson on direct snaps.
Well, I mean, this right here, this is right up the alley for Brian Westbrook. Just take that snap and just kind of sit there and just read what the defensive line is doing, because that's basically what he's doing from his tailback position.
1st and 10 for the Eagles at the Saint 47-yard line. 9:26 to play before the half. Cobb in the shotgun. Rolls to his left, throws a shovel pass ahead to Westbrook. Westbrook weaves his way inside the 40 to the 39-yard line, where he's taken down by Anthony Hargrove, as Hokie mentioned earlier, giving the Saints a bit of a rest in the interior of that defensive line. That's a gain of 8.
All right, now that's a gain of 8, but I want you to watch the difference right here. Just on this one play, the difference between Brian Westbrook and Reggie Bush. You notice how he stayed behind his blocker. He weaved from right to left and everything else, but he had his guy in front of him instead of trying to outrun him at the point of attack.
2nd and a short 3 from the 40-yard line.
Well, it's a goofy formation here.
And again, it's Deshaun Jackson on a direct snap. And he dances around in the backfield, looks for running room, does turn the corner before he picks up the first down, diving beyond the tackle of Fujita for the first down. Fujita complaining to the line judge on the near sideline. Jabari Greer was around there as well. That's a gain of 3.
Well, you look at this. They got some offensive linemen split out to the left, some split to the right. Basically, all you had there on the offensive line where they would normally line up was the center and the 2 guards, and everybody else was split out. The Saints had to get spread out all across the board. Had never seen anything like that.
So another new wrinkle for this Eagle offense results in a first down at the Saint 36. 8:02 to play, second quarter. Saints on top, 10-7. Cobb in the shotgun. 2 receivers to his left, 1 to the right. Saints coming off the corner. Cobb hit as he delivers over the middle for the reception to the 30-yard line. Ball comes free, picked up by the Eagles, but blown dead. The throw was to LaShawn McCoy, the second-round draft choice, the rookie out of Pitt, and he took in the reception, dropped the football, recovered by the Eagles, and tried to advance it. Were the Eagles, but they'll rule it down after the 5-yard gain at the Saint 30-yard line. LaShawn McCoy, 5'10" and 198, made that reception, a leaping one in front of Jonathan Vilma, who knocked the football out of his hands, but they ruled him down by contact. Eagles eventually recovered anyway. 2nd and 4 at the 30-yard line of the Saints. Movement up front. Saints jump across. McCray leads the charge.
False start.
And this will cost the Eagles 5.
Offense, 5-yard penalty, 2nd down.
Nick Cole, the left guard, guilty of the infraction. So the penalty puts the ball back at the 35-yard line of the Saints. Jeff Charleston getting a chance to play on that defensive front. Hargrove now checks out. Idell comes on momentarily and then goes back to the sideline as Hargrove returns, this time at right defensive tackle. 2nd and 9 from the Saint 35. Cobb puts Jackson in motion. Play action to him. Throws the screen pass to Westbrook, and Westbrook taken down after a very short gain by Jonathan Vilma and also by Anthony Hargrove. And you got to like that defensive tackle coming from his right defensive tackle position, making the play on the near side of the field, limiting the gain to 2.
Well, the Saints did a great job of defending that particular play, but this is not like something that the Eagles run just ever so often. I mean, he is a big part, talking about Brian Westbrook, of their screen game. The Saints know how dangerous he can be if he gets blockers in front of him. So nice job of the entire defense collapsing on that.
3rd and 7 from the Saint 33. Cobb in the shotgun. Curtis, who's been quiet, split out wide to the left. Cobb retreats, has time, now throws, and it's caught by Selleck. Selleck has the first down as he muscles his way to the near sideline, taking tacklers with him down to the 24-yard line of New Orleans. A pickup of 9 and an Eagle first down. This guy's a big target at 6'4" and 255.
Well, I'm going to tell you what, I mean, as he catches the ball right here, I think he's already beyond the sticks, and I think Scott Shanley is the first guy to come up and hit him. And I mean, he's just kind of dragging Shanley along the way to ensure that he picks up the first down. This is not a guy you get out there and just kind of, hope that you can grab him and throw him to the ground. He's a big, strong man.
He's had 3 straight games with touchdown receptions. 1st and 10 from the Saint 24-yard line. Backs in an eye. Tailback Westbrook gets the ball, and he is going to be hammered and taken down immediately. Cedric Ellis making that tackle, wrapping him up, throwing him down. No gain on the play. Let's pause 10 seconds for station identification on the New Orleans Saints radio network. Second and 10 at the New Orleans 24-yard line. The Eagles trying to take advantage of the Akeem Jordan interception that got them the football at their own 27. Cobb out of the shotgun. Fujita showing blitz off the corner and coming. Cobb throws. A low pass is taken in on one knee at the 18-yard line by Jeremy Macklin. That'll be short of the first down. Now, the Eagles have been trying to upgrade their receiver position for quite some time. Drafted a pair of rookies this year, Jeremy Macklin along with Brandon Gibson. Gibson inactive today. One guy who's really fallen off the depth chart is Reggie Brown, who was such a big part of their games against the Saints in recent years. Inactive today and very much in Andy Reid's doghouse. 3rd and 4 from the New Orleans 18-yard line. Cobb in the shotgun, 3 receivers to his left, Curtis to the right. He throws over the middle, and the catch is made by Macklin at the 10-yard line, wrapped up immediately, but that's a first down. As Roman Harper comes up to meet him, that's good for an 8-yard pickup and a first down.
I think one thing you got to be pretty impressed with Kevin Kolb right now, he's not all that worried about the Saints blitz. He's seeing it coming. He's going to his hot read, and he's delivering the ball on time and right there where his guy can catch it.
Let me correct myself. That's Jason Avant on the reception at the 10-yard line. 1st and goal from the 10-yard line, 12th play, and again the Wildcat formation with Deshaun Jackson, and Westbrook looks to the near sideline and signals for a timeout. There's some confusion on the part of the Eagles. They take the timeout with 3:26 to play. Well, obviously, this is a formation that's confused the Saints somewhat, although there at that time it was confusing the Eagles as well. So we'll step. One guy who will probably be running this Wildcat form beginning next week is Michael Vick.
Yeah, I mean, they got the right guy to do it right there. Maybe that's the reason that they're kind of starting on it so early this week, is it because they go, hey, when we get the guy in next week, everybody's going to have to be looking out for it, and we don't have to switch our quarterback out to a wide receiver.
1st and goal from the 10-yard line. Saints coming on the blitz, and Cobb's going to go down. Roman Harper comes up the middle to nail him, along with some help. Charles Grant was pinching in there as well. So the first sack of the day for this Saint defense. The Eagles have 1.
Well, a little bit unusual right there. The Saints had been coming with a little bit of outside pressure where Cobb could see it. That time they came right up the gut. I mean, Roman Harper just kind of came shooting up right through the middle, and he was unblocked and got there, made the short tackle.
For a loss of 6, timeout New Orleans, 10-7 Saints, 3:23 to play before halftime. This is the New Orleans Saints Radio Network.
Network next Sunday at noon when the Saints take on the Bills in Buffalo. Turn up the Saints Radio Network.
This has been a 12-play, 57-yard, 7-minute and 35-second drive thus far for the Eagles after the interception of Breeze by Jordan. Second down from the 16-yard line. Here's Cobb. Play action, throwing to his big tight end again, and it's going to take 3 Saints to drive him out of bounds. Selleck with the reception. Let's see where they spot the football. All the way down to the 5-yard line of New Orleans.
Well, he's becoming a folk hero around here, the way that he just continuing to drag people in, just pulling his way in there. Like I say, 2 Saints get him, they can't get him down. 3 Saints come over there. They don't ever really get him down until they get him pushed out of bounds.
9-yard gain will bring up 3rd and goal from the 5-yard line. Curtis is split out wide to the left. Inside him, a backup tight end, Smith. Wide right to Sean Jackson. Cobb up under center. Westbrook behind him. Play action. Cobb with a lot of time. Surveys the backfield. Ball's tipped up into the air. Almost intercepted. Maybe it was. No. Hargrove was juggling it. Came out of his hand. Shanley made a belated dive for the football, but couldn't come up with it at the 10-yard line. But there's that athleticism once more that Anthony Hargrove provides for you at that defensive line position.
Well, look at him, though, Jim. I mean, when he bats that ball up in the air, though, I mean, he looks like he's trying to get a stick and kill it. He knows it's coming right down to his breadbasket. He just doesn't have the hands to do something like that, but a heck of a play on his part nonetheless. Anthony, if you catch that, you're a show enough hero, but you've held the Eagles to a field goal attempt.
Of 23 yards, right hash mark by the veteran David Akers. They put it down, he puts it up and through, and we've got a new ball game.
We got a flag.
As a flag has been thrown at the line of scrimmage.
That's going to be roughing the kicker, and I believe that's on Tracy Porter. I believe who was coming in from that side.
Akers is all right. He did get upended. And we have to wait here to find out exactly what the call is. The field goal attempt was good of 23 yards, but the officials sorting out the infraction with the flag resting at the 12. Akers is stretching that left leg after he did go down. And the referee and the entire officiating crew coming to the near sideline to tell Andy Reid about it.
I'm wondering if Andy Reid's asked him, can I get the ball on the 1-yard line as an automatic first down?
That'd be half the distance to the goal, though. The line of scrimmage was the 5. They couldn't get a first down.
Running into the kicker. The penalty is declined. The field goal is good. Timeout.
So the field goal of Akers of 23 yards equals that of John Carney's. And we've got a very even football game as the scoreboard attests. 2:38 to play, second quarter.
Let's go right down to Kristian Garic for River Parish Disposal. Saints Sideline Report. Kristian?
Hokie, on that kick, on that field goal, David Akers, the Eagles kicker, might have won himself an Oscar for the active performance. Tracy Porter never even touched him. He just fell on top of Tracy Porter and drew the flag.
Well, that's a veteran kicker, and he's been around for 11 years. Here's the kickoff to Roby, a short one he can field at the 6 and return 10, 15 to the 20, trying to turn the corner, does so 25, up to the 29-yard line before the Eagles bring him down. Sean Jones, the former Cleveland Brown, making the stop. Spent the last 5 years with the Browns before the Eagles picked him up. Drew Brees, 13 of 17 in the half for 137 yards, a touchdown and an interception. Mike Bell with 6 carries for 34. Kevin Cobb, 10 of 15 through the air for 131 yards. 2:30 to play before halftime. Saints with the football, 1st and 10 at their 30-yard line. Brees will come out in the shotgun with Reggie Bush standing to his right. 2 receivers to the near side of the field, 1 to the far. Here's Brees throwing over the middle, and it's incomplete. Thrown a bit behind Shockey at the 47-yard line. But he might have made that catch. However, he couldn't come down with it, and it's incomplete. Thrown a bit behind him. Might, too, have been tipped by one of the linebackers on the deep drop.
That'll be the big question right here. I mean, you know, he's got it right there just kind of on the back shoulder of Jeremy Shockey. I don't know. After watching the replay, I don't know whether it gets tipped or not. I mean, I think that's a situation where Jeremy needs to try and get both hands on it.
2nd and 10 from the Saint 30. Breeze in the shotgun with 5 wide receivers in trouble, and he's going to lose the football as he's hit. It's still on the ground. Saints going to fight for it, and they get it back around the 16-yard line. Saints recover the football as Breeze, for the second time today, is hit hard in the backfield.
Well, the Eagles right now kind of doing kind of the same things they did to Carolina last week. They're just putting a lot of pressure on the quarterback. Drew Brees, ball comes out. Saints are very fortunate just to get this thing recovered.
And it was Jeremy Shockey who retreats all the way back to the Saint 11-yard line and recovers the fumble. Juquay Parker jarred the football loose.
Well, this NFL scoreboard is brought to you by IHOP. Come hungry, leave happy. And all these are second quarter scores. Carolina leads Atlanta 10-7. It's Detroit over Minnesota 10-0. Green Bay leads Cincinnati 21-14. Arizona 17, Jacksonville 3. Oakland and Kansas City are tied up at 3 apiece. New England leads the Jets 6-3. Houston and Tennessee are all square at 21 apiece. And St. Louis leads the Redskins 7-6. And again, all those are second quarter scores.
Loss of 14 on the sack and the fumble brings up 3rd and 24 for the Saints from the New Orleans 16-yard line. Eagles will rush just 3. Breeze with time, throws over the middle, catch made. Upended at the 39-yard line is Jeremy Shockey. He'll be just short of the first down, but he knew he was going to take a hit and did from free safety Macho Harris on the final play before the 2-minute warning. Shockey none the worse for wear as he heads to the sideline and accepts the congratulations of Drew Brees and his teammates.
Well, here at the 2-minute warning, here's your warning from the Louisiana Partners for Highway Safety.
Were they tempted to go for it here?
Well, I think for a little bit they were. They kind of got huddled up over there on the sidelines. All the offensive linemen stayed out on the field where they would normally be for the huddle. Went over there and kind of talked to the skill guys, and I'm quite sure some of them were telling Coach Payton that, you know, hey, I can get open, I can make that first down, but discretion is the better part right here, and you send your punting unit out there on the field at the 2-minute warning.
With Thomas Morstead to punt it away to a very dangerous returner in Deshaun Jackson. So the rookie stands back at the Saint 24-yard line. Jackson brought one back 85 yards last week against the Panthers. Snap back to Morstead. Eagles with a return on, and it's a dandy. Beautiful punt by Morstead. Drives Jackson all the way back to the 3, and he's going to try to return it. Troy Lewis can't get to him. He turns the corner 10. Flag has been thrown. 15-20, another one. Saints force him to the boundary, and Malcolm Jenkins pushes him out of bounds. But 5 flags have been thrown on the play. The Eagles got their money's worth that time. If you're going to have one, you might as well have 5, and it looks like all 5 will go against Philadelphia. But that was a dangerous play by Deshaun Jackson.
Well, I mean, that's what he's kind of known for. He's a little bit of a gunslinger back there, but it had to be obvious to just about the entire officiating crew out there because they're almost all in a straight line across where they go.
It was a 27-yard return, but again, flags flying liberally throughout the return.
Well, Jim, there were no challenges in the first half, but if there would have been, the coach's challenge is brought to you by First Bank and Trust, official bank of the Saints. First Bank and Trust challenges.
Illegal block in the back. During the return by the receiving team, number 91. A penalty is declined. Illegal block in the back. Number 43. Also on the receiving team, half the distance of the goal. First down.
91 is Chris Clemens. 43 is Leonard Weaver. So a couple of the Eagles with the infractions.
All right, let me finish that up. And First Bank and Trust challenges you to see business made personal. In Tangipahoa Parish, go see Market Area President Russell Conger at 201 West Oak Street in Amite.
Well, the Eagles don't intend to do much of anything down here, I wouldn't think, with just 1:43 to play before halftime, and the young quarterback under center. They're going to hand the ball off on a straight-ahead dive to Westbrook, who crosses the 5 to the 6-yard line. Saints will call timeout here, stopping the clock with 1:39 to play before halftime. Just a 2-yard gain.
Well, and kind of hard to tell around here. Don't know exactly how many timeouts. To the best of my recollection, I think that's the first timeout that the Saints have used here in the first set as a second. So maybe they're figuring out, look, if they can shut them down right here, maybe they can get themselves in good field position.
Well, this was a pick'em game. It started out with the Eagles slightly favored, and then as the week went on and it became more and more evident that McNabb wouldn't play, it was a pick'em game as recently as yesterday, and it's a pick'em game on the scoreboard at the moment.
Well, I mean, you just got to figure that if McNabb was going to play in this game, that, yeah, you got to get the advantage of the Eagles playing in their home stadium and everything else. Well, I'll tell you what, I have been fairly impressed with Kevin Cobb. I don't think he's showing a whole lot of jitters back there.
And he's going to go on the shotgun on 2nd and 7, but again, handed off on the inside handoff to Westbrook, and he'll be taken down after another short gain of perhaps 3 yards. That the Saints will utilize their last timeout. Cobb 10 out of 15 on the day for 131 yards and the touchdown. The 71-yard strike to Deshaun Jackson that he evened up the scoreboard at 7-7 back in a very eventful early part to the first quarter, and things have certainly settled down since into the game we expected.
Well, both teams started off hot, and ever since then, kind of both defenses have taken over. And I think what you're seeing right now is that the Saints are burning these 2 quick timeouts. Sean Payton is saying, all right, if we can hold these guys right here on 3rd down, then we get the opportunity to have them punt the ball to our dangerous return man. Can I get something field position-wise where I can possibly send my field goal unit out there late to try and at least go into halftime with an attempt at a field goal?
3rd and 5 from the 8-yard line. Will Cobb put the ball at risk? He's in the shotgun at the moment with Westbrook standing to his right. 3 receivers to his left, 1 to the right. Cobb retreats to the 1-yard line, throws over the middle behind Jackson, incomplete. A very poorly thrown ball at the 15-yard line, and that one wasn't thrown with much confidence.
No, but I tell you what, that really is to the Saints' advantage right there. It was a quick throw, it was a bad throw, plus it stopped the clock. And with the Saints without any timeouts now, they got 1 minute and 31 seconds left to go here in the first half.
So this is going to bring on Sav Rocca to punt the football away, the Australian product. And Reggie Bush stands back at the Saint 43-yard line with 1:31 to play before halftime. Rocca's punt is high and taken in by Bush at the 43 and drives forward to about the 46 before he's taken down. So a very short return of just 3 yards on the punt by Rocca. And it was Quentin Michael downfield making the initial hit on Bush. This Lincoln Financial Field sellout crowd quiet at the moment in anticipation of the final 1 minute and 20 seconds, where the Saints will try to get on the scoreboard one more time and take a lead into the halftime locker room. 10-10 at the moment, 1:20 to play. 1st and 10 Saints at the New Orleans 46-yard line. Breeze in the shotgun. Eagles bring 4. Breeze looks, can't find anybody, steps up, still steps up, throws far sideline. Bush inside the 35-30, down to the 28, down to the 25, dives inside that to the 24-yard line. First down.
Well, that's plenty enough room right there for the Saints to be in field goal range. Now what Drew Brees wants to do is he wants to get up there. I mean, you still got just slightly under a minute to go right now. You don't have to spike it just yet.
29-yard gain, 1st and 10 at the 24-yard line of the Eagles. Breeze from the shotgun, in trouble, steps up, throws for Colston.
Wow.
Whipping grab at the goal line. He's in. Marcus Colston with a great grab at the goal line, and he's in the end zone for the 2nd time today.
2 plays. I mean, Drew Brees, you knew that the Eagles went to sleep on that first one that he threw out there to Reggie Bush, let them pick up a big chunk of yardage, and right there with the Eagles kind of in confusion with the Saints going up to the line of scrimmage, he goes after his big guy, the big receiver, in the one-on-one matchup. And Drew Brees just threw a touchdown pass, and South Coast Solar will donate $150 to Breeze Dream Foundation, dependable, renewable energy from SouthCoastSolar.com.
24-yard touchdown strike. Carney with the extra point. Marcus Colston, that big 6'4" target, going up and over 5'9". Joselio Hansen at the goal line, coming down with the football. Saints retake the lead with 43 seconds before halftime.
And let's go right down to Kristian Garic with a River Parish Disposal Saints sideline report. Kristian.
Hokie, Coach Payton, after that touchdown, after that great grab by Marcus Colston, looks at the Eagles fans at the crowd and kind of pumps his fist in the air and screams loud of cheers and approval. Go Saints, and then he just yelled, yeah!
Officially a 25-yard strike. Breeze to Colston, and He's such a great target, particularly down here close to the red zone.
Well, the big killer at all was the very first play, Jim, where they left Reggie Bush alone out there on the sidelines. And Reggie could have, he actually had a couple of options right there. After he caught the ball from Drew, he could have stepped out of bounds right then. He could have taken the ball up the field a little bit more. He decided to cut it back in and got the ball down, way down deep in Saints territory where they knew they were assured a field goal. And then Drew Brees, being the smart guy that he is, didn't go up there to the line of scrimmage and spike the ball and give Philadelphia a chance to change their defensive personnel. He went right up there and snapped the ball and said, if I get what I'm looking for one-on-one against Marcus Colston, that's where I'm going.
And for Colston, his second touchdown catch of the day, his third of the season. Ellis Hobbs awaits the kickoff by Morstead, who has kicked one out of bounds. That's the last thing you want to happen here with 43 seconds remaining before halftime. Morstead steps into the football, and this will stay on the field of play. Taken in by Hobbs at the goal line. He's going to return it to the 10, to the 15, stops, changes direction, and has to struggle beyond the 20-yard line, perhaps to the 21. With 37 seconds remaining in the half, that's a gain of 21 yards on the return. Well, you mentioned it, the Eagles going to the air in that third down situation and throwing the short pass that was incomplete, stopping the clock, and didn't take the Saints long to go 54 yards, just 37 seconds, 2 plays, 25-yard strike, Breeze to Colston, 17-10 New Orleans. First and 10 for the Eagles from their 21-yard line, and they open with Cobb in the shotgun. And he looks to throw over the middle. It's caught by Avant. He slips a tackle to the 47-yard line. Clock shows less than 30 seconds to play as Avant comes through with his second catch of the day.
Philadelphia, this is the third.
The Eagles will utilize their last timeout, and that's a 25-yard gain.
Well, if you're the Saints, you can't go to sleep right here either. You can't give up a big play like the Eagles defense did just a moment ago, where you just kind of go to sleep and you let something get a big play that'll get the Eagles down there in a situation where they can try a field goal at the end of the first half.
Harper and Sharper combine on first the missed tackle, then later the tackle that brings down Avant. Let's pause 10 seconds for station identification on the New Orleans Saints radio network. First and 10 Eagles from their 47. Cobb in the shotgun. 3 receivers to his left. Here's Cobb. Can't find anything to his right. Being chased as he scrambles to his left. Ball is thrown low and incomplete in the direction of Kevin Curtis, who has been held without a catch in the first half.
Well, you got to at least appreciate the effort that the Saints defense put right there on that particular pass play. They did come with a blitz. They just about got to him. It looked like whoever that was coming off the Saints' right corner over there just really didn't take a very good angle of getting to the quarterback, and that was Roman Harper.
Yes, it was. Harper, who has the only sack of the day for the Saints earlier in this quarter. Second and 10 from the Eagle 47, 24 seconds remaining in the half. Cobb in the shotgun again. Going to throw near sideline. Catch made by Jackson. Jumps out of bounds in front of the Eagle bench with Jabari Greer coming up to defend him. Stopping the clock, giving the Eagles a first down after a 10-yard reception with 20 seconds remaining in the half. They'll spot the football at the New Orleans 42. David Akers, the veteran, had a 49-yard field goal last week. 57 is the longest in his career, if you want to think about that. First and 10 for the Eagles from the New Orleans 42. Cobb throwing far sideline. Catch made by Curtis. His first of the day on the far sideline, stopping the clock. They'll spot the football at the New Orleans 32. That's a 9-yard gain, and the Eagles moving back down in potential field goal range. The clock stopped with 15 seconds left.
I just hate that when you give guys that much cushion out there on the corner. It's Archie, I used to always hear him coin this phrase, like stealing, boys. It's like stealing. That, when you can just drop back and throw that thing out there, and all you got to do is catch it, step out of bounds. You get the yardage, plus you stop the clock.
Second and 1 at the 32-yard line. Saints rush just 3. Here's Cobb throwing, and wide open on the far sideline is Curtis. I don't know what Tracy Porter was thinking of. Curtis was totally uncovered out there. There was nobody even on Kevin Curtis, and he's able to take the football down to the 14-yard line on an 18-yard reception, and the clock is stopped with 9 seconds left.
I don't know. I mean, Tracy Porter is jumping something out there. I haven't the faintest idea what he saw that made him jump. There was no back slipping out into the flat or anything like that. I mean, that's just a very, very poor read on the part of Tracy Porter.
1st and 10 at the 14-yard line. Cobb, all sorts of time out of the shotgun. Going to throw it into the end zone and overthrow Deshaun Jackson, who throws his hands up in the air in disgust. Darren Sharper on the coverage. Jabari Greer had dropped off in that area as well. But these Eagle fans are pleased, even though the Cobb couldn't put it in the end zone, that he didn't make a mistake with the football and has given them the opportunity to climb within 4 points at the intermission. 3 seconds left as Akers comes on.
Well, I think that Jackson was a little bit upset because he felt like he had a step on the Saints secondary, and his quarterback really didn't give him an opportunity to make a play on the ball.
32 seconds remaining, or 32-yard field goal with 3 seconds remaining on the clock. Snap, placement, kick by Akers, and the
world delivered.
And welcome to the AT&T Halftime Show, where at halftime it is the New Orleans Saints on top of the Philadelphia Eagles by a score of 17-13. Halftime stats are brought to you by Louisiana Machinery. Team stats, the Saints and the Eagles. This one is tight across the board, just like the score. Total yards, the Saints with 246, the Eagles with 250. In the passing department, each team has 190 yards through the air. The Saints have 56 yards on the ground, the Eagles with 60. The Saints in time of possession, 15 minutes and 7 seconds. Philadelphia, 14 minutes and 53 seconds. The Saints have 13 first downs. The Eagles have 11 first downs. Individual stats, Drew Brees, 16 of 21, 213 yards, an interception and 2 touchdowns, a rating of 119.7. Kevin Cobb, 14 of 22, 196 yards, 1 touchdown, a rating of 107.4. In the rushing department, Mike Bell, 6 carries for 34 yards. Brian Westbrook for the Eagles, 9 carries, 45 yards. In the receiving department, Deshaun Jackson, 2 grabs for 82 yards, including that long touchdown of 71 yards. Marcus Colston, 6 receptions, 73 yards, and 2 scores. Jeremy Shockey, 4 receptions for 49 yards, and Reggie Bush, 2 grabs for 38 yards. And on the defensive side of the ball, leading the way for the Saints, Scott Shanley with 6 total tackles, 5 solo, 1 assisted. Roman Harper, Jonathan Vilma, and Jabari Greer, all with 4 tackles apiece. We are at halftime at Lincoln Financial Field, where it's the Saints on top of the Philadelphia Eagles, 17-13. This is the AT&T Halftime Show on the New Orleans Saints. Delivered. Halftime at Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia, New Orleans 17, Philadelphia 13. Bobby Hebert's halftime commentary is brought to you by Subway. Subway, eat fresh. $5 foot-long subs are an everyday value at Subway. And Bobby, the Saints on top 17-13, looking down across the boards. This thing is about as even as it gets.
Yeah, Deke, an evenly matched game. If you look at the stats across the board, now once that the Saints have to be on top, or at least even at the end, is that giveaway takeaway ratio. The Saints are -1. You know, Drew Brees had that pick, and he was fortunate on the one fumble that Jeremy Shockey was able to get back on it. We had an opportunity. Defense, Hargrove in position. He batted the ball up. Looks like he could have caught it with his hands. He's kind of playing volleyball, but he didn't come down with it. So, yeah, it's been evenly matched. What the Saints offense has to do a better job is on 3rd down. There were 2 of 6 in the first half at 33%. You know, you always want to be around 50%. The defense, the Eagles with 3 of 7, 43%. So have one more stop. That would have been pretty good. You look average per rush. We're averaging 5.1 yards an attempt. That's good. The defensive end, not so good, giving up 5-point average. But, Deke, I guess the surprise has been is how much the Eagles have used the Wildcat formation. You know, with direct snaps, whether it's Deshaun Jackson or Brian Westbrook back at quarterback. So you could see they definitely been practicing that. I think we might see Michael Vick in that role also. But I think they're comfortable also with Deshaun Jackson and Brian Westbrook doing that. I thought the Saints, the way they closed out the second quarter, I should say, before half, offensively, Morstead doing a great job putting and backing up the Eagles to the 3-yard line, utilizing their timeouts. Then all of a sudden, the Eagles had to punt. We had great field position starting from the 46-yard line with 1:20. Breeze, 2 big plays to Bush, and then the Colston on the touchdown. With the defense, you have to tighten up, and you can't afford to give up the big plays to let them get in field goal range. I don't know what Tracy Porter was thinking on one of those plays, the Eagles having no timeouts, letting them catch the ball along the sidelines. But the Saints started out great, Deke. You look at their first drive, Breeze to Colston touchdown, the 15-yarder, and Reggie definitely helped on that play. He definitely influenced it. But it's going to be a tight ball game. We just got to protect the football and make the Eagles earn their points. Don't give up anything on special teams or turnovers.
All right, it's halftime. It's the Saints 17, the Eagles 13 on the New Orleans Saints radio network. One with Bobby Hebert here on the network with the point after. Bobby, second half, what do you expect? What do the Saints need to do?
Well, they need to get more pressure on Cobb. I think he looks real poised back there. Now, you can't give up a 71-yard touchdown. Looking what we could see from the TV vantage point, Coach Williams got all over Roman Harper. Looks like he bit. You cannot give up a big play. You got to force the Eagles, to drive down the field. I think they'll be a little bit better prepared the second half when they make adjustments for the Wildcat. Now, will the Eagles continue to use that? Because they did have success with Deshaun Jackson and Westbrook. Defense, come up big, cause a turnover. Drew Brees, protect the football. Running backs, whoever it is, don't lay it on the turf. Try and be on that plus side at the end when all said and done. I think Morstead's done a fine job putting the ball. It's all about field position when you have 2 evenly matched teams. And so you just got to close out the game. That was the problem with the Saints last year, losing a number of games right in that fourth quarter where you got the lead, keep the momentum, and just close out the game and come home with a victory.
That's the Cajun Cannon, Bobby Hebert. I'm Deke Bellavia. We're at halftime. It's the Eagles trailing the New Orleans Saints 17-13. Up next, second half action right here on the New Orleans Saints.
Below, Saints will be kicking off to begin the second half. And Hope, you look back at that last drive of the Eagles. Saints were awfully soft defensively. It took them only 43 seconds to go 65 yards in 7 plays and set up the Akers field goal to make it 17-13.
Yeah, I don't think either defensive coordinator, whether it's the Eagles or the Saints, are very happy with the last 2 drives that took place down there. The Saints marched it down the field in 2 plays and got the ball into the end zone. The Saints allowed it to go down the field in only 43 seconds to get that field goal to close the gap right there at the end. So you just got to have better and tighter coverage than what the Saints were giving up right there defensively.
Saints just 3 out of 10 on third down conversions in the first half. The Eagles were 4 of 7. Each team with 190 yards passing. I think if you're an Eagle fan, you would have been very happy coming into this one to be able to say that Kevin Cobb would have as many passing yards as Drew Brees in the first half.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you what, he's got the one big 71-yard strike there early in the ball game. And I tell you what, he hadn't really looked rattled. He looked pretty good in that closing drive right there to end the first half, just taking what the Saints would give him, getting the ball out to the boundary, letting his guys step out. So, this game is a long way from being over if Kevin Cobb continues to perform the way that he has.
Hakeem Jordan had the only turnover that he authored in the first half for the Philadelphia Eagles. The interception of Brees at the 27-yard line. They were +5 in turnover differential after that annihilation of the Panthers last week. They don't turn the ball over in the first half and collect the only turnover to be +6 now through a game and a half of football.
That's always going to give you an opportunity to win. So, the Saints have been, watching them on some tackles and stuff. They've been swatting at the ball and everything else. But this Eagles team, I would think, would be the same kind of team that in practice that they work on that every day, and they don't allow people just needlessly strip them of the ball.
Thomas Morstead to kick the ball away. He's punted twice in this game for an average of 55.5 yards. Ellis Hobbs is back deep, awaiting Morstead's kickoff as the second half begins with the Saints on top 17-13. Good kickoff to the 1-yard line, high and deep, back to the 10-15. Hobbs at the 20, runs into one of his own men. Ball comes free. Saints have covered it up at the 21-yard line. Reese comes away with the football as Hobbs was hit by one of his own men. The ball came free, and the Saints get a huge turnover on the very first play of the second half. Chris Reese recovering this fumble at the Eagle 22.
And it was Malcolm Jenkins that came in there from behind him and swatted the ball out the same way that we were just talking about, the things that you work on in practice. So huge turnover right here, opening kickoff of the second half for the Saints.
A lot of the Eagle fans coming back to their seats and seeing the ball at the 22-yard line with the Saints offense on the field and saying, what happened? What happened was the fumble by Hobbs returned for no yardage by Reese, but he did cover it up. Here's Breeze looking to throw left flat. Bush. Reggie Bush scampers down the sideline, forced out of bounds inside the 20. At about the 18-yard line. Give him 5 on the first down reception. Hakeem Jordan credited for the tackle.
Well, all that's going to go down as a passing stat right there, but it's a very safe throw for Drew Brees. It's a way to get Reggie out there on the perimeter, and it really is nothing more than just a long pitch, like if you lined him up in the eye and turned around and tossed it to him.
So the Saints trying to take advantage of the first turnover of the day that they've collected. Looking at second down. Handoff Mike Bell straight ahead. Puts his head down and takes Eagle tacklers with him all the way down to around the 11-yard line. Mike Bell with a good strong run of some 8 yards. Omar Gaither, the middle linebacker, on the stop, but that's a first down for the Saints as the football rests at the Eagle 11-yard line. And Mike Bell in the first half carried the football 6 times for 34 yards, an average of 5.7, and a 23-yarder being his longest effort. Meacham split out wide to the right. Henderson, Colston wide left. On first down from the 11-yard line, 1st and 10. Here's Breeze. Play action, throwing it to his fullback Evans, and Evans slips a couple of tackles, dives toward the pylon, and he's in. Look at Heath Evans. Tight-roping the sideline for his second touchdown reception in 2 games. What a great effort by Evans. It looked like he was going to be pushed out of bounds at the 3.
And he does that on one leg. Watch him. He just goes hopping there on his right leg and has the presence of mind to stick the football out and get it beyond the pylon. That is a heck of a play on the part of Heath Evans.
Shades of Michael Vick. That's an 11-yard touchdown reception by Evans.
And Drew Brees just threw a touchdown pass, and South Coast Solar will donate $150 to Brees Dream Foundation. Dependable, renewable energy from SouthCoastSolar.com. And Andy Reid wants to challenge that to see if, in fact, there was a point in time when Heath Evans did step out of bounds.
Philadelphia is challenging the ruling on the field of a touchdown.
All right, this coach's challenge is brought to you by First Bank and Trust, official bank of the Saints. First Bank and Trust challenges you to see business made personal. In Baton Rouge, go see Market Area President Cleve Langlois at the new branch at 8383 Jefferson Highway next to Baton Rouge Country Club.
Well, as the Saints were lining up for the extra point, the Eagle defenders were jumping up in the air and yelling over to the Eagle bench to challenge this thing, and so the challenge will take place. 13:39 to play. Third quarter, Saints up by a score of 23-13 at the moment, pending this challenge and the extra point attempt by Carney. This is the New Orleans Saints Radio Network.
Report. Kristian, hold on just a second until we get the official
The ruling on the field stands. It is a touchdown. Philadelphia has been charged with a timeout.
Yeah, Hokie, I mean, I was just going to say at field level, at first glance, at full speed, it certainly looked like he was able to hop almost on one leg and kind of bound into the end zone over the pylon. So at first speed, it looked like he did, in fact, stay in bounds.
Well, you wanted to know the difference between him and John Carney last week?
Mike Carney.
Mike Carney. John Carney's out there for the extra point, but there you have it right there.
That sort of athleticism. Well, here is John Carney adding the extra point. So the Saints take advantage of an early break here in the second half. The fumble of the opening kickoff of the second half by Hobbs, and the Saints turn it into an 11-yard touchdown strike. Breeze to Heath Evans, his second touchdown reception of the season. And with 13:39 still to play in the third quarter, it's the Saints 24 and the Eagles 13. This is the New Orleans Saints Radio Network.
It's the New Orleans Saints tradition. Turn down the sound on your TV and turn up the Saints Radio Network next Sunday at noon when the Saints take on the Bills in Buffalo. Turn up the Saints Radio Network.
And we hope at that time to have as beautiful a day in Western New York as we have here today in Philadelphia. Absolutely perfect. Morstead to kick it away. The Saints defense standing as a group on the sideline, waiting to get back into this game, feeling the adrenaline of the recent turnover and the touchdown by Heath Evans. Another strong kickoff by Morstead. Hobbs juggles it 5 yards deep and will kneel. And Philadelphia starts at its 20. What a weapon this kid has become.
Well, you talked about him averaging 55.5 yards a punt in the first half. I mean, all of his kickoffs have been good kickoffs, except, he's hung a couple of them up there high, and you don't really want to do that. So
had the one out of bounds.
Yeah. But all in all, I mean, I'd say his performance as a kickoff man has been pretty good.
So this Lincoln Financial Field sellout crowd very quiet at the moment, stunned by the turn of events as the second half has begun. 1st and 10 from his 20, handed off to the tailback Westbrook. Westbrook is going to be tripped up by Scott Fujita and friends after a short gain. Cedric Ellis there as well. Give Westbrook 3, and boy, this crowd hasn't been this quiet all day long, has it?
Well, I'm going to tell you what. I mean, you talk about something that'll take the starch out of you real quick when you're going to get the opening kickoff of the second half. And, that's the time you go, all right, let's go back there. Let's do something with this. Let's march the ball down the field and get the ball, either get a field goal or a touchdown. And you fumble, and the other team gets a touchdown in return.
2nd and 7 from his 23. Hobb throws it into the flat, and it's intercepted. Read beautifully by Scott Shanley, who picks it off and runs out of bounds inside the 25-yard line. Shanley's second interception of his career, and second in 2 weeks.
And I'll tell you what, if he can just kind of keep his balance right there as he catches that ball and is heading up the field, he scores with this easily, because there's not a Philadelphia player anywhere around him. If he could have just kind of gathered his momentum and tightrope the sidelines, he's in for a touchdown.
So Kevin Cobb, who had been pretty much error-free in the first half, makes a big one right here, and the Saints have an opportunity to perhaps break this thing open a bit early in the third quarter with 12:59 to play. 1st and 10 Saints. Breeze rolls right, stops, now throws the football away. Meacham was the intended receiver, but he was bracketed by a pair of Eagles at the 5-yard line. Chukwue Parker coming on the pressure of Breeze.
Well, you can almost feel that play coming right there from Sean Payton. You know how he likes to go for the juggler so quick, and I think that the Eagles were prepared for that. They said,
64 is eligible.
Any of these
Number
receivers
60.
get behind us.
Well, Sean Payton spent some time here as a quarterback coach for the Eagles in 97 and 98. So he's returning to one of his many homes. 2nd and 10. Handoff to Bell, weak side, and Bell runs through a tackler inside the 20 down to around the 18-yard line. Boy, that guy runs hard. He gives you everything he's got, and that's good for 6 yards.
I mean, his average is way up above 5 yards in this entire ball game right here. And, you can't ask a running back to do any more than that.
Took on the strong safety, Quentin Michael, and drove him backward for about another yard. So it is a 3rd and 4 situation for the Saints from the Eagle 18. Henderson and Meacham wide right. Colston with a pair of touchdowns to the near side of the field. Reggie Bush behind Breeze goes in motion out to the left side of the formation as well. Breeze short set, throws, and it's going to be caught by Meacham. Meacham muscles his way inside the 10, driven out of bounds around the 8-yard line. That's a catch for Meacham and a 1st and goal situation for the Saints. Quentin Michael on the stop.
Well, that's just a case right there of Drew Brees and Robert Meacham being on the same page. Drew Brees read the blitz coming from the outside. So did Meacham. He turns it into the quick out route because both he and Shockey were running exactly the same route. One was just going to be further toward the boundary. Drew Brees took the easiest shot that he had, and that was to go to Meacham with it.
10-yard gain. 1st and goal for the Saints from the 7-yard line. 11:48 to play third quarter. Saints up 24-13. Handoff, Bell. Bell running behind Evans. Up, over, and in! Mike Bell goes airborne and into the end zone with the touchdown.
Well, that looked like it was a completely designed cutback run by both the fullback and the tailback, because you watch right there, Heath Evans takes exactly the same path that Mike Bell takes right here. They both start to the left and they cut back to the right. As a fullback, you wouldn't do that. You're going to block your man that's on the onside play gap right there. That time, everybody did the same thing, and it was just an ISO play just to the backside, and both guys used the cutback lane.
Mike Bell into the end zone for the first time this season as a Saint. John Carney comes on to attempt the extra point. Snap placement, extra point is up and through, and it's a stunned crowd here in Lincoln. Diving over from 8 yards out, 31-13 Saints, 11:39 to play, third quarter.
Well, I mean, it's been 14 points right here just off the 2 turnovers. The Saints on the fumble after the opening kickoff of the second half, and then the Scott Shanley interception didn't take the Saints long. Make the Eagles pay. Got into the end zone twice.
First drive took 1 minute and 10 seconds. The second 1 minute and 19. Here's Morstead's kickoff, and it's another beauty. To the 1. This is Hobbs straight ahead 10. Cuts to his left 15. Looks for a block 17. Across the 20, 23, 24, maybe the 25-yard line. Courtney Roby saying the ball's come free and that the Saints have it, but the official does not agree. There is a flag down.
Holding number 54.
Wow.
Half the distance to the goal. First down.
Tracy White, the backup linebacker, caught holding, and so this won't help out Kevin Cobb and this Eagle offense as they will start more deeply in their own territory with 11:31 to play, third quarter, and the Saints on top of the Eagles 31-13. This is the New Orleans Saints Radio Network. Retreats to the shotgun. 2 receivers to the near side of the field. Westbrook stands to his left. Cobb retreats into his end zone, throws a short pass to Deshaun Jackson, and he'll be stopped short of the 10-yard line by Jabari Greer. Well, getting back to that last series, you know, they were kidding Scott Shanley after last week's game that he was only 55 career interceptions behind Darren Sharper. Now he's only 54 behind the all-time active leading interceptor in the NFL.
Well, he's making progress.
That's a 4-yard gain on the short completion to Jackson, setting up 2nd and 6 at the Eagle 10. Resets Selleck from right to left, backs in an eye, Cobb up under center. Receivers left and right. Cobb play action, going to throw deep down the near sideline, and he overthrows Curtis. Out of bounds on the near sideline. The ball is thrown off the field of play. Jabari Greer running step for step with him. And there's a flag down on the far side of the field at the line of scrimmage.
Jonathan Vilma saying it's illegal motion against the Eagles.
Illegal formation. Offense. Offensive team was never set. Half the distance of the goal. Second down.
Well, the Eagles have been far more beset with penalties than the Saints have been throughout this game. They were penalized 6 times in the first half. The Saints only once. And
actually, the Saints decided to decline this penalty because now that puts, with it only going half the distance to the goal line, now it gives the Saints an opportunity to put Philadelphia in a third down situation.
3rd and 6 from the Philadelphia 10. They split Selleck out to the near side of the field along with Deshaun Jackson. And that's a formation that confuses the Saints momentarily. Cobb in the shotgun. Cobb retreats to the 2. Throws on the cross, and it's batted up in the air and incomplete. Intended for Westbrook. Jonathan Vilma got his hand in there, and now we're hearing the Philadelphia Bluebirds come off the roost.
Well, that time what they did, they went with the empty backfield when they put Westbrook out wide to the left, and when the Saints shifted Jonathan Vilma out there, I mean, that's exactly where I'd go with it. A great pass receiver like that, trying to hit him on the quick slant. Cobb just makes a bad throw.
And he was lucky it wasn't intercepted as the ball bounded up in the air, but there was no Saint near it. So Sav Rocca 5 yards deep in his end zone to punt it away to Reggie Bush. This crowd is stunned. Here's Rocca's punt. Bush retreats to the near sideline and fields it at his 29. Looking for a block, runs across the field, and there's going to be nobody there. All the way back inside his 25. He'll be tackled at the 23-yard line, so he loses about 7 yards on the return, looking for a block that never arrived. Hakeem Jordan on the stop. And so, with 10:26 to play in the third quarter, the Saints will touch the football again offensively, leading the Eagles by a score of 31-13 at the New Orleans 23. 10:26 to play third quarter. The Saints have scored a pair of touchdowns since the intermission to take a 31-13 lead. Breeze opens in the shotgun, well protected, sets up the screen, and that's going to be broken up and broken down quickly as Pierre Thomas, seeing his first action of the season, is taken down by Hakeem Jordan.
Yeah, I wonder if he's, if he goes to the sidelines right now and goes in the huddle and tells Sean Payton, thanks a lot.
That's a loss.
Yeah, my first play of the game, you're going to put me on there on the play that we run the worst.
For a loss of 5.
There. There we go. That's just about
Number
what I
64.
expected.
Number 64 is eligible.
Zach Strief checks in as an additional tight end, as the Saints will look at 2nd and 14 from their 19. Backs in an eye. The tailback gets the call, and this is Mike Bell. Mike Bell carries a couple of tacklers with him, just short of the original line of scrimmage, up to the 22-yard line, a pickup of 3. Lionel Hamilton inactive today, so it's Bell, Thomas, and Bush, your running backs. And it brings up 3rd and 11 from the Saint 22. This crowd stirs to life. Meacham split out wide to the right, along with Colston. 2 receivers to the near side of the field. Empty backfield for Breeze, who points out the blocking assignment for Jermon Bushrod at left tackle. Calls for the football. Eagles wholesale blitz up the middle. Here's Breeze throwing deep near sideline. Wow. And it is caught. Is it? If it is, it's a huge gain, and it is to Henderson. He makes the catch down at the 40-yard line of the Eagles. What a great throw and catch, as Drew Brees anticipated the all-out blitz, went to his speed burner down the near sideline. It was just a matter of whether he still had control of that football as he hit the ground, and he did. That's a gain of 38 yards.
Just great concentration on the part of Devery Henderson. It wasn't like he had to leap over the defender or anything. He just had to stretch his arms out and let that ball fall into the breadbasket.
1st and 10 Saints. Mike Bell right side. And Bell, behind the block of Nix, gets down to around the 37-yard line. Omar Gaither, the middle linebacker, on the stop. Gaither wears 96, a number he says he hates as a linebacker, but he continues to wear it because it gives him motivation. Not many great linebackers wore 96, and he's been a pretty good one for them. They've got some good linebackers, and Gokong himself and Hakeem Jordan, who had the interception back in the first half.
Well, you know what? You'd hate it a lot worse if they didn't have a jersey for you.
That's exactly right. 2nd and 7 from the Eagle 37. Play action. Breeze rolls right, looks, throws, coming back for the football. Far sideline. Colston makes the catch in front of a pair of Eagle defenders. That will be a 1st down. They'll spot the football at the Philadelphia 24-yard line in front of Asante Samuel. These are excellent corners, and Samuel, who's been to the Pro Bowl the last 2 years, and Sheldon Brown, who came into this game with a pair of interceptions last week, and the Saints have really gone to work on him. That's good for 12 yards.
Well, I mean, what do you do? I mean, it's not like these guys are in bad position. It's just that Drew Brees is putting the ball where his guy can catch it and their guy can't.
1st and 10 Saints from their 24. Here's Bell. Not much there, right side. Eagles trying to grab the football from his grasp and cannot do so. Heath Evans goes over to help him up. That'll be a gain of 2 on the carry, with the right defensive tackle Broderick Bunkley, along with Chris Gokong, the tacklers for the Eagles.
Well, I can just about assure you that those other 10 guys in the huddle, whenever they call the running play, if it's going to Mike Bell, if it's going to go to Heath Evans, all those other 10 guys are saying, hold on to the football.
Breeze 22 of 28 for 286. He'll hand it off here to Bell. Not much running room. Gets what he can and actually backpedals into the teeth of this Eagle defense, carrying the football to the 20-yard line. Give him 2 on the carry. Mike Patterson, the left defensive tackle, on the stop. Clock shows just over 6 minutes remaining in the 3rd quarter. Quarter dominated by the Saints, who've scored a pair of touchdowns. 11 yards Breeze to Evans and 8 yards on a Mike Bell run and dive into the end zone. 3rd and 6 from the Eagle 20. Breeze in the shotgun, 3 receivers to the near side of the field. 1 to the far, that's Jeremy Shockey. Henderson, Meacham, Colston lined up to the left. Breeze calls for the football, steps up, throws over the middle. Colston taking a tackler with him inside the 10, down to the 8-yard line. It takes 4 Eagles to stop him and throw him backwards. 1st and goal for the Saints, and for Drew Brees, that's another 12 yards to add to his total. For Marcus Colston, another catch to go along with the 2 touchdown receptions he's had in this game. And boy, the 2 touchdown receptions that he's had in the game, and Drew Brees is just as sharp as he's ever been right now.
And I mean, there's no panic in the guy. He knows exactly what he wants to do. I mean, he's probably not even looking to to go into the end zone on that particular route right there. What he wants to do is just continue to pick up the first down. Say, let's see if our running game can get in there. I mean, we're chewing up so much clock. We're being able to do just basically what we want to do offensively. Let's keep it going.
On 1st and goal, this is Bell, right side. Gain of perhaps about a yard. Marcus Colston, 8 catches for 98 yards in those 2 touchdowns of 15 yards, and also one of 25. One in the first quarter, one in the second.
You know, and I don't think it's a real big surprise right now to the Eagles exactly what the Saints are trying to do. And I mean, that's chew up as much clock as they possibly can. So, I mean, those guys defensively, they're pinning their ears back a little bit more, and they're just going to start running their run stunts because they know that's what's coming at them.
2nd and goal from the 7. Breeze in the shotgun. His receivers in tight on the formation. Here's Breeze looking, stepping up, delivering through the hands of Shockey at the goal line and incomplete. Ball was thrown high and hard, and there were about 3 or 4 Eagles right around Jeremy Shockey, so the incompletion stops the clock with 4:19 remaining in the 3rd quarter. And you'd have to think that around the country right now, as people look up at this scoreboard, it's got to be getting their attention.
Well, especially when a lot of people saying that the Eagles are the class of the NFC, and I'll tell you what, based on last week's game against Carolina, who could argue with them?
11th play of this drive upcoming. 3rd and goal from the 7-yard line. Bush, the lone setback. 3 to the left, 1 to the right. Breeze going to throw it to Bush, right flat, thrown behind him and out of bounds, incomplete. And again, Bush never turned around to look for the football as it went past him.
That's the second time they've run that play in this game, and it's a little quick, fast screen out there. You're getting a couple of linemen out in front of you. Reggie's got no blocking responsibilities whatsoever. He's just supposed to come out of there. And both times, Reggie has not even been looking for the ball. And maybe that's got something to do with it. Drew just not having time to set it up and throw it to him. Can't blame it all on Reggie.
So this will be a 25-yard field goal attempt by John Carney, right hash mark. Mark Brunell to hold. Snap placement, kick is up, and it is good. John Carney from 25 yards out as the Saints add to their lead with 4:10 to play 3rd quarter. It's now the Saints 34 and the Eagles 13.
And let's go right down to Kristian Garic for the River Parish Disposal Saints Sideline Report. Kristian.
Hokie, you were just talking about that failed screen attempt and Drew Brees not having enough time. That's kind of what he told. That's really what he told Coach Payton when he was coming off. He didn't have enough time to set up and let it develop as much as he wanted it to. And of course, Reggie wasn't there. That's the second time they misfired on that play today.
Haven't misfired on many, though, have they? Not today, at least.
Well, the screen passes, they misfired on all 3 of them.
12 plays, 70 yards, 6 minutes and 16 seconds as the Saints go on a time-consuming drive that ends in a 25-yard field goal attempt that's up and through by John Carney. The Saints increase their lead to 21 points, 34-13.
Okay, the Saints have thrown 3 screens today. 2 of them have gone to Reggie Bush, and they were the fast screen variety. Both of those have been incomplete. Reggie never even had a chance to find the ball. And then to start that last drive by the Saints right there, they threw one to Pierre Thomas and went for a 5-yard loss. So I'm all for let's just scratching that play for the rest of the season. Let's just, I mean, unless we're beating somebody by 40 points in the 4th quarter and go, hey, you know what? Just for fun and giggles, let's give it a try. Let's see if we can make it work.
See if it can work this time. Well, Thomas Morstead will be kicking it away again. He's done it often in this game, and he's done it well. Ellis Hobbs stands back at the goal line, and one of the very pivotal plays in this game occurred on the opening to the second half when Morstead's kickoff was fielded by Hobbs, who fumbled the football away to Chris Reese at the 22-yard line of the Eagles, and the Saints took it in 3 plays after that with Heath Evans putting up a highlight play as he took the pass out on the right flat and did a pirouette down around the 2-yard line and stuck the football inside the pylon and across the goal line.
Well, it was more of a pogo stick than it was a pirouette. It just kind of went hopping down. No, it didn't kind of go hopping. I mean, he was hopping on one leg, on his right leg, going down the sideline. A pretty athletic play that you saw there.
And you've done a promo for his foundation, and as the people in New Orleans get to know him more and more, they're going to really like a very quality individual with a very acute social conscience, and he has helped this team already through 2 games. Here's Morstead to kick it away. Hobbs will be able to field this one on the field of play. He does so at the 2. to the 5, to the 10. He's to the 15, got a hold at the 20, to the 25, 30. Now it's a foot race at the 40. Midfield, Morstead trying to string it out. Does so as finally Courtney Roby pushes Hobbs out of bounds way back at the 35-yard line. That's why they got Roby, not only to return kicks, but to help them in coverage. It was a very sore point after the opener last week against the Lions, and Roby might have saved a touchdown there.
Well, it's going to be a very sore point after this ball game as well, because you just don't want to let your guard down like that. When you got a team really against the ropes, not on special teams, don't give them something cheap like that. If they're going to go down there and they're going to march at 80 yards and 10 plays down the field, something like that, yeah, you could give them that, but don't give them something cheap.
65-yard return to the Saint 35, 1st and 10. Here's Cobb rolling to his left, throws it out in the flat. Catch made by Jackson. He scampers out of bounds. We'll see where they note his forward progress. It will be a first down with room to spare to the 20-yard line of the Saints. That's good for 13 yards.
And this NFL scoreboard is brought to you by Bud Light, official beer of the Saints. In the third quarter, it's Atlanta 21, Carolina 13. In the fourth, it's Minnesota 17, Detroit 10. In the third quarter, Cincinnati and Green Bay are tied up at 21 apiece. Also in the third quarter, it's Arizona 31, Jacksonville 3. Get back to those other scores after the play.
1st and 10 from the Saint 20-yard line. They go to the Wildcat again with Jackson handing off to Westbrook, and the Saints might be catching up to this a little bit. That'll be a short gain of a couple to around the 18-yard line.
And finishing up those scores, in the third quarter, it's Oakland 6, Kansas City 3. The Jets lead New England 13-9. That's also a third quarter score. Tennessee 31, Houston 24. And in the fourth quarter, it's the Washington Redskins 9, the St. Louis Rams 7. And that's the NFL scoreboard brought to you by Bud Light.
Rams shut out a week ago. 2nd and 8 from the Saint 18. Cobb out of the shotgun. Saints rush just 3, back 1 off, and Cobb confused, throws the ball away. And he goes down thanks to Charles Grant. Anthony Hargrove was in on him as well. The Saints that time peeled off some of their defensive people from the line of scrimmage, and it seemed to confuse Cobb, who threw the football away and took his lumps despite that. 3rd and 8 for the Eagles. Charles Grant on the pass rush. The Saints have but 1 sack today, that by Roman Harper. 3rd and 8 from the 18-yard line of the Saints. Cobb out of the shotgun again. Saints again rush just 3, peel 1 off. Here's Cobb throwing. A catch is made, leaping at the 5-yard line by Avant in front of Shanley, and it'll be 1st and goal for the Eagles as Jason Avant comes down with the football.
Well, I got to say, that was a pretty good throw right there by Kevin Cobb. I mean, the Saints just 3-man rush. He knows he's got time, steps up in the pocket and just delivers it right between Shanley and the safety back there. I mean, pretty good touch on that throw.
13-yard gain to the Saint 4-yard line where it's 1st and goal. 2:17 remaining in the third quarter. Clock running. Saints up 34-13. Cobb again out of the shotgun. 2 receivers to either side. Westbrook in the backfield with him on the delay, gets the football, and Charles Grant read that all the way and is on his back immediately. No gain on the play. At best, a yard. So Charles Grant brings him down. No gain on the play as they unpile him. The football still rests at the 4-yard line where it is 2nd and goal. Westbrook has carried 12 times today for 51 yards as the Saints have kept him pretty well in check. They're going to go with the Wildcat again as they split out Cobb, and Westbrook will take the direct snap. Puts Macklin in motion, fakes to him, rolls right, could throw, does underneath to Weaver. Weaver drops the ball at the 1-yard line as the fullback was falling into the end zone for the touchdown. He dropped the ball.
I mean, pretty good design play right there. I mean, everybody on the Saints defense, myself included, thought that Brian Westbrook was going to run that ball. Wasn't really what you'd call a classic pass right there, but it just didn't have it to where the fullback could really just catch it while he was in stride. Had to reach back for it and tried to make it with the one-handed catch.
Leonard Weaver, who had spent from 2005 through 2008 with the Seattle Seahawks, unable to take that in. And so it's going to bring up 3rd and goal from the 4-yard line. Cobb out of the shotgun, rolls right, pitches it out, and running to the right side and not getting in is LaShawn McCoy as the Saints string it out and do a very nice job of that. Jabari Greer was there, Roman Harper, Jonathan Vilma, and the Eagles, trailing as they do by 21 points with less than a minute to play in the third quarter, have no choice but to go for this here after a 1-yard gain.
And that's a difficult thing about trying to run the option play against an NFL defense. There's just too much lateral speed out there. It will work from time to time, but not when you got that many bodies compressed down in there in the red zone.
Well, here you go. 4th and goal from the 3-yard line. Cobb in the shotgun. Puts Westbrook in motion, rolls to his right, looks into the back of the end and throws in a very low pass that is caught, they say, for the touchdown. Jason Avant went down and got that football. Jonathan Vilma in the area. And you might see Sean Payton challenge this because that ball was thrown low for an apparent 3-yard touchdown, but we await a probable challenge by Payton. He's talking to the official on the far sideline with the red flag in his hand.
Well, he's got a bunch of his players that immediately looked at him and started waving it off. I mean, of course, what are they going to do? Are they going to say, oh, yeah, Coach, we think he caught it. So it'll be something that he's going to challenge it. But after looking at the replay right there, I say it's a catch.
Well, we're getting another look at it here.
Challenging the ruling on the field of a touchdown.
Hard to see from that angle. The ruling on the field is that Avant came down with the pass for the touchdown, but the Saints are going to challenge. And that was a play that the Eagles had to have. Now, if they don't have it, it's an entirely different story since that was 4th down. But that was a play they had to make to keep themselves interested about the outcome of this game and to keep their fans into it to a certain degree.
Well, I think that it's a play that they did execute. I think it's going to be a touchdown. Seen it from a couple of different angles, and it certainly looks to me like the ball never does touch the ground. That Avant has got his hands and his forearms underneath the football, and at no point in time do I ever see where any part of the ball came in contact with the ground.
Well, we're getting a bunch of different angles here. And I think it's going to be awfully difficult to reverse that based on what you've seen from 3 different angles.
Exactly, and that's another factor that you got to put into this whole thing is that if it's indisputable, they can't turn it over. And nothing that you can see right there could really make him go up. This is what I saw.
So the referee, Alberto Rivaran, remains underneath the hood. And let's see if perhaps during the interim here we can check on a few scores since we'll have the time to do so. Riveron's going to require a good long look under the hood at about 3 or 4 different angles to determine whether the call on the field stands. And an awful lot of Eagle fans are up on their feet and looking over at the broadcast booths up here. The Eagles announcers are to our left. The national announcers from Fox are up here as well. And the Eagle announcers the Eagle fans want to know, based on what all the replays are available to us up here, what we see. And Merrill Reese, who is the play-by-play man for the Eagles, standing no more than about 6 feet from me, has not given the touchdown signal as yet to his many fans.
Well, do you want me to give it to him?
I don't think they care who you are.
I'm saying it's a touchdown. Well, you can email your Southern Recycling coaches questions to whodatnation@saintsradionetwork.com. Here we go. We got
the receiver. 2 hands under the ball and controls it. Therefore, it is a touchdown. The ruling on the field is confirmed.
Well, the play stands, and Sean Payton, nothing new for, unfortunately, Sean. His challenge fails, and it'll cost the Saints a timeout.
Okay, well, let me go back to this. You can email your Southern Recycling coaches questions to whodatnation@saintsradionetwork.com. Listen to the Saints Coaches Show on the Saints Radio Network tomorrow at 6:30 p.m.
Well, that provides Eagle fans with some more hope. And probably a lot of them would have been headed to the exits if that was overruled. It wasn't, and David Akers comes on to add the extra point. So the first failure of the day really in the Saints special teams unit results in that big 65-yard kickoff return to the 35, and soon thereafter the Eagles are in the end zone, cutting the Saints lead to 14. It is now 34-20 New Orleans.
Well, you put yourself behind the 8 ball, and that's exactly what we said, Jim. I mean, you don't want to come out here. Your defense has really played a pretty solid football game today. Your offense has played great. You've got some turnovers. You've capitalized on those things. And all of a sudden, you just go out there and you feel like, man, we got it won. It's in the bag. And then you allow a long kickoff return. Puts those guys, look, this game ain't over by any stretch of the imagination. 29 seconds left to go here in the third quarter. You still got the whole fourth quarter to go. And the Eagles are just whittling away at that Saints lead with that touchdown that they just got right there.
Well, let's pause 10 seconds for station identification on the New Orleans Saints radio network. Well, Courtney Roby stands back at the goal line awaiting the Akers kickoff here. We mentioned that Roby came through with a potential touchdown-saving tackle. It was only a touchdown-delaying tackle on Hobbs as the Eagles eventually put it in the end zone. This is Roby from a yard deep to the 5. He's to the 10, running right side 15, 20, 25, and taken down around the 26-yard line of the Saints.
And let's go right down to Kristian Garic with a River Parish Disposal Saints sideline report. Kristian?
Hokie, you were just talking about momentum and this game certainly not being over with 23 seconds left to go in the third quarter. But before that defensive series, after that long run, the theme was don't let up, don't stop playing, don't quit, keep playing fast, put the pressure on them, the Eagles being, and make them make plays.
Well, Drew Brees is clapping his hands as he comes back to the huddle for the Saints offensively as they begin this drive at the New Orleans 27-yard line with 23 seconds remaining in the third quarter. Brees opening in the shotgun. Stepping up, pulling it down. Now throwing it left flat. Evans and a juggling reception. If this is a fumble, it's picked up by the Eagles at the 19-yard line. Saints are saying incomplete pass.
The referee is saying fumble.
And the head linesman is saying it's not. It's a fumble by Evans, and Evans is looking over at the Saints bench and saying, challenge this thing. I never had it. Sean Payton has the flag in his right hand and drops it at the feet of the official. So in just a couple of plays here, the Saints have authored their second challenge, and let's hope for their sake that this goes better than the first.
New Orleans is challenging the ruling on the field of a completion.
Because if it isn't overturned, this is the Eagle football at the 19-yard line.
Well, I'm watching the play on the big screen up there. I mean, Drew's getting a little pressure. He throws it out there. No, I don't think Heath Evans ever, at any point in time, ever had control of that football.
Really good angle up here as well in slow motion. It doesn't look like he did.
And he does the smart thing by swatting it away right there.
Doesn't look like he ever had control of the football. And Sean Payton and Heath Evans and 52 other players on this roster hoping that the call will be reversed, that Evans never had control of it. Didn't look like he did. And they're getting a lot of good angles of this one.
Yeah. You can see right there, I mean, he's got both feet on the ground, but he does not have control of the football. He's got to have possession of the football with both feet down.
So the first play that the Saints challenged, the touchdown reception by Avant, you never really got a good look at it no matter how many angles they gave you. And so that play stood, but there are a lot of different angles of this one. The call on the field is a reception by Evans, a Saint fumble, and an Eagle recovery at the New Orleans 19-yard line. It appears to us, based on the many replays from a number of angles that we've seen, that Evans did not have control of the football.
Well, while we got a minute here, we'll just tell you that kids eat free at IHOP. Buy one adult entree, get one kid's meal free from 4 to 10 p.m. daily at IHOP. Come hungry and leave happy. I ain't going to leave happy if the official comes out from underneath that hood and says, it's a catch and a fumble recovery, ball going the other way. I just don't believe that.
So now, once again, the fans are turning around and looking up here and looking at Merrill Reese and Mike Quick, who is their color analyst, the former Eagle wide receiver, looking at them for confirmation of the call on the field or perhaps the incomplete pass sign.
Yeah, but those two guys over there, I mean, they don't give them any indication like you and I do, the Saints fans, when they look at us with that look on their face like, come on, guys, help us out here.
Well, we're going to find out here momentarily because Alberto Riveron is back on the field to play.
The receiver never controls the ball. Therefore, it's an incomplete pass. New Orleans will not be charged with a timeout. They will retain the ball, 2nd and 10 at the 27-yard line. Please reset the clock to show 18 seconds.
Well, that one goes in the Saints' favor, and what a big call that was to be reversed.
I want to see if Sean Payton won't get a direct line to me up here in the box, and I'll help him with whether he should and shouldn't challenge.
You said he shouldn't have challenged the catch by Avant. You said he should have challenged this. And he does successfully.
18 seconds on the clock, please. 18 seconds.
But this has provoked the ire of the always simmering Eagle fans, and they have come to their feet and are making a lot of noise with 18 seconds now remaining in the third quarter. The Saints have it 2nd and 10 from their 27. Run it with Bell, right side. Mike Bell is hit hard by Mike Patterson after a gain of 1, maybe 2, up to around the 28-yard line on the final play of the third quarter. And what an eventful quarter it was. 15 minutes remain in regulation. Saints 34 and the Eagles 20. This is the New Orleans Saints Radio Network.
We interrupt our regularly scheduled.
Was the quarterback.
Now I know why I've forgotten that game.
3rd and 9 for the Saints from their 28-yard line. They move it left to right on the first play of the fourth quarter. Breeze from the shotgun, steps up, throws short underneath. Catch is made by his backup tight end Thomas, upended at the 36-yard line. That'll be close to the first down, maybe just a bit short depending on the spot of the football.
He's not going to have it. He's going to be about a yard short.
Looks that way. Breeze implores Sean Payton to go for it. The offense is still out there. Let's see if he wins the battle.
Man, I don't know. I don't think not in this situation. The ball's at the 36-yard line. I mean, you can't. I mean, you whittle this thing down now to a 14-point lead. You don't want to give them a short field and have them be able to pick up something real quick and real cheap and give them an opportunity in the waning minutes of this game to tie it up.
I wouldn't think so either, and they're going to continue to talk about it
5-yard penalty.
as the Saints will take the 5-yard penalty, and that certainly assures what they're going to do. And they figure the way Thomas Morstead punts, usually the more field he gets to work with, the better, because the bad thing about him thus far as a rookie has been punting into a short field. He doesn't quite have a lot of touch on the ball, so they give him 5 yards more with which to work, and we'll see if that pays off with Deshaun Jackson awaiting his effort at the Eagle 20-yard line. Morstead's kick is high, angled to the near side of the field. Jackson takes it in at his 24, and he is hit immediately and driven out of bounds by Malcolm Jenkins, who's made his mark on special teams today, hasn't he? And so the Eagles will have the football with 13:46 to play and trailing the Saints by 14, 34-20. This is the New Orleans Saints. In there as well, Cedric Ellis. Well, the Eagles don't have a lot of quick striking weapons besides Deshaun Jackson. If you can keep him in check, and the Saints have, for the most part, apart from a 71-yard touchdown early in this game, they don't figure to go down the field very rapidly against you. 2nd and 9 from the 26 of the Eagles. Cobb in the shotgun, and look out. He has to throw it incomplete, as coming up the middle was Anthony Hargrove, who buried him back at the 13-yard line as he delivered the ball. I don't think Hargrove was ever touched.
Well, Anthony Hargrove said, I've seen this play against me in practice because our team runs it, and this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to get pressure in the face of the quarterback immediately. And like you said, I mean, it just, as a defensive lineman, you've got to sit there and wonder yourself, hey, there's got to be something wrong. So somebody at some point in time has got to lay a glove on me.
And so the incompletion brings up 3rd and 9 at the Eagle 26. Cobb in the shotgun. Saints showing blitz. Are they coming? They are. Cobb well protected, throws near sideline and overthrows Curtis, incomplete. Running with him step for step was Tracy Porter, and Darren Sharper was coming over from his free safety position to help out if need be. And so it's a quick 3-and-out for this Eagle offense.
Well, I'll tell you, I mean, a pretty big turn of events right there for the Saints defense. They had to come out there and shut the Eagles down. That's exactly what they want to do. The Saints can kind of get a little bit more back into the mode now of running the football and working on burning time off that clock.
Sav Rocca to punt it away, and Reggie Bush stands at the 30, almost looking over to the bench like, do you want me to fair catch this thing? He won't have any opportunity to do so, as Rocca has pulled another off the field of play and draws the ire of the Eagle crowd. It's the second time, perhaps in deference to Reggie Bush, he's kicked the ball short and off the field of play. That's just a 28-yard effort. With a timeout on the field, 12:50 to play. Saints up 34-20. This is the New Orleans Saints radio. A 4-minute time of possession advantage.
Well, right now would be a very good time to put together something kind of time consuming. Even another 4 minutes would work out perfect right here.
1st and 10 Saints at the New Orleans 48. Backs and an eye, tailback, Bell, running room. Down to the 40, down to the 39, down to the 36-yard line of the Eagles. Asante Samuel brings him down after a 14-yard gain.
Well, that's a good way to get a time-consuming drive started right there. Just take it right up the gut. Let Mike Bell use his cutback skills and take that ball north and south. You pick up those first downs, and I mean, this is when it's tough to be a defense, when a team can just kind of get out there and run the ball on you. You'll notice right here at the end of the run, Mike Bell just about loses that football.
80 yards now for Bell on 16 carries. He had 143 on 28 last week against the Lions. 1st and 10 Saints at the Eagle 36. Another helping of Bell, left side, protecting the football with both hands. He'll settle for a gain to around the 32-yard line with Broderick Bunkley, the right defensive tackle, on the stop. Clock continues to run and shows less than 12 minutes remaining, with the Saints enjoying a 2-touchdown lead. There is a Saint hurt, and that looks to be Mike Bell.
That is not good.
He's down on his hands and knees at the 31-yard line and in some pain.
Well, he kind of got up there in the middle of that all that pile. It looks to me like as he was laying on the ground right there at the end of the run, he was grabbing his right knee.
That sure does.
Let's go right down to Kristian Garic. What do you see, Kristian?
Hokie, he's kind of grabbing his right shin in that area. He's in a little amount of pain. I mean, he was bent over at the waist earlier, grabbing at the shin, and that's what they're looking at right now, the right shin.
And as the Saints look on, amongst them Sean Payton, Pierre Thomas will have to get ready to re-enter this game, at least for the time being. So we'll take the timeout as the Saints attend to Bell. 11:52 to play. 4th quarter. I believe it was Samuel who was shaken up. We'll take another look at it here, but certainly one of the Eagles was upset as Bush went airborne. Might have caught his knee in his helmet.
Yeah, it was Asante Samuel. You see Reggie Bush going airborne right there. Samuel comes in to make the hit. His helmet goes right to the right knee of Reggie Bush. Well, Reggie's up in the air, so I mean, you're not going to get much more than just like a little bruise on your knee right there. But boy, as a defender, it feels like somebody just hit you in the head with a mallet.
We mentioned earlier, as we have a timeout here now, Andy Reid looking on, the social conscience of Heath Evans. He immediately went over to Samuel, talked to him, and motioned to the Eagle bench that brings somebody on to attend to this guy. He's not just shaken up momentarily, although the Eagles certainly have that hope. And after being attended to, Samuel is going to wobbly walk just the 5 or 6 steps to the Eagle bench.
It's one of those things right there where he's probably got more cobwebs in his head right now, and he's just going to have to get over there and just kind of clear his head for a minute and see, in fact, if he will come back in the game. Because sometimes those are mild concussions, and that's when the doctor starts talking to you. And, I mean, if you're not fit to go back out there on the field, they won't put you out.
6-yard gain for Bush and a Saint first down. We'll check on Mike Bell's condition as time permits. 1st and 10 at the Philadelphia 25. Reggie left side, nothing doing, and settles for maybe a yard. Omar Gaither, the middle linebacker, on the stop. Clock shows less than 11 minutes to play. Saints on top by 2 touchdowns, 34-20.
And let's go right down to Kristian Garic with the Rear Parish Disposal Saints Sideline Report. Kristian.
Hokie, quickly on Mike Bell. He was moving around on the sidelines, putting a little pressure on that knee and that leg, so he certainly Still in a good amount of pain, though, but certainly good news, him walking around a little bit. He's currently on the bench talking to trainers right now.
Pierre Thomas has only been in this game briefly, was the target of a Breeze pass, has not carried the ball, and it's Bush out there now on 2nd down and 9. Play action, Breeze can't find anything deep, dumps it off Heath Evans. Evans making sure he stays on the field of play down to around the 19-yard line before Broderick Bunkley along with Akeem Jordan combine on the stop.
Well, Heath Evans probably would have been better served right there to keep running the ball up the field and try and outrun the linebacker at least to the 1st down marker instead of trying to cut it back in. And even if he doesn't outrun the linebacker there, he's going to pick up an extra yard or two just because his momentum stopped and he was trying to cut back inside.
5-yard gain. Saints are 5 of 11 in 3rd down conversions. They look here at 3rd and 4 from the 19-yard line of the Eagles. Meacham wide to the right. Oftentimes he serves as a blocker out there, and they're going to give it off to Bush. Bush has a hole. 10, 5, scampers into the end zone. Touchdown. Reggie Bush finding just a crevice opened up by Carl Nix. He scampers through it for a 19-yard touchdown.
Well, that's the case right there where, I mean, I didn't really like the call when I saw Reggie going downhill and taking the handoff from Drew Brees. I was like, do something a little bit different. But Reggie found that cutback lane, and when he did, once he exploded through it, I mean, by that time, the Eagles had already committed too many people on their defense up to the line of scrimmage. Nobody back there to keep Reggie from getting into the end zone.
For the first time this season, he heads to the end zone, and the fans head to the parking lot. With 9:36 to play, much of this sellout crowd has decided that there are better things to do with the waning moments of a beautiful Sunday afternoon in the city of brotherly love. With 9:36 to play, it's the Saints 41 and the Eagles 20. This is the new... Well, Reggie Bush ran between the tackles that time and ran with authority, and once he burst through the initial line of scrimmage, he was in the end zone in the blink of an eye. Saints go 52 yards in 6 plays in 3 minutes and 14 seconds. The final 19, the Reggie Bush touchdown run. Saints lead is 21. Here's Morstead's kickoff. Hobbs from the 2. Straight ahead 5-10. He's to the 15 and stacked up short of the 20. Pearson Prelo there. Malcolm Jenkins as well, along with Troy Evans.
Well, Jim, I mean, you got to figure out you got 9 minutes and 30 seconds left to go in this game. I mean, if you're the Saints right now, you want to finish this thing strong. Obviously, Greg Williams is going to call off the hounds a little bit. You're going to be playing a little bit more of a soft defense. You're giving the underneath stuff. Just make the sure tackle and all that kind of stuff. But don't just completely let your guard down.
Wow, how quickly did these stands pretty much empty. 17 yards on the return by Hobbs as the Saints stack him up short of the 20-yard line. The Eagles will start from their 19 with 9:30 to play, trailing 41-20. Kevin Cobb has gone all the way. He's in the shotgun as the Saints rush 4. He throws short, and it's Avant with the catch at the 22-yard line. Tracy Porter upends him there after a short gain of 3 yards. Let's pause 10 seconds for station identification on the New Orleans Saints radio network. Second and 7 from his 22. Cobb will throw short to Westbrook, and he's brought down on the field of play by Jabari Greer, short of the first down. They'll spot the football at the Eagle 27-yard line. That's a gain of 6.
Well, it's a nice open field to tackle by Jabari Greer. Look at him. I mean, Brad Westbrook's not an easy guy to tackle one-on-one out there in space. Keeps him inbounds and also prevents him from picking up the first down.
3rd and about 3. Cobb pumps, throws down the middle, and the catch is made by the tight end Selleck into Saints territory to the 46-yard line. This kid, Brent Selleck, looks to be an emerging star at that position. Jonathan Vilma on the coverage can't prevent a 25-yard gain and an Eagle first down with 8:15 to play in the game. The Eagles trail 41-20, clock moving, and they'll hurry up to the line of scrimmage. Movement up front by Smith. On the delay, they're going to give it off to LaShawn McCoy. And McCoy down to around the 36-yard line of the Saints will be a first down.
Offside. Defense, number 91. Penalty is declined. Result of play is a first down.
Smith had jumped prematurely, but the result is a 12-yard gain nonetheless.
Well, I mean, that's exactly what I'm talking about right there. You start getting sloppy. You jump off sides. You're trying to preserve this game. You don't give them anything real free and real cheap like that.
1st and 10 for the Eagles at the Saint 36-yard line. Cobb operating solely from the shotgun, has time, throws downfield. Wide open is Curtis. Curtis inside the 20 to the 19-yard line. Jabari Greer just totally lost track of him. And for Curtis, one of his few receptions on the day is good for 16 yards. And the Eagles moving it downfield with 7.5 minutes remaining. It's 1st and 10 at the Saint 20-yard line. 2 receivers to the near side of the field, 2 to the far. Cobb in the shotgun. Saints coming on a delayed blitz and goes down, does Cobb, as he's taken down on the sack by Bobby McCray, his first of the season. Bobby McCray coming from the blind side.
And I tell you what, pretty good, powerful hit that he got right there on Cobb as he came around the Eagles' left defensive tackle. I mean, he just got a beeline right for the back of the quarterback. When you see that quarterback's head snap like that, I mean, you know he wasn't expecting that to be coming at him.
Loss of 7, 2nd and 17. Cobb under pressure, throws it downfield to Selleck. Shanley has him, but inside the 15-yard line to the 14. So this will bring up 3rd down. The Eagles going to hurry things up here with 6.5 minutes remaining. It'll be 3rd and 5 at the Saint 15. Cobb hands it off to Murray, and he's inside the 10 to the 9-yard line. Roman Harper on the stop, or rather McCoy, LaShawn McCoy on the carry. That's good for 6 yards. 3rd, or make it 1st and goal. The football rests just inside the 10-yard line. Cobb rolling right, throws it incomplete, intended for Avant in the right flat at the 5-yard line, stopping the clock with 5:58 to play. So the ball rests at the Saint 9-yard line. Clock is stopped with 5:58 to play. Saints on top 41-20. This game was last even at 10-10 early in the second quarter. The Saints have led the rest of the way. 2nd and goal from the 9-yard line. Here's Cobb, play action, throws near sideline. The catch made by McCoy, who dives down to the 5-yard line. He's wrapped up there by Scott Fujita. Clock is running and shows just over 5 minutes and 40 seconds remaining. 3rd and goal from the 5-yard line of the Saints. Cobb brings his Chargers up to the line of scrimmage, calling the play as quickly as possible, trying to save every second he can. McCoy stands to his right, Cobb in the shotgun, takes the snap, looks left, throws it away at the back of the end zone. Probably Avant was his intended receiver, a yard deep, but again, Cobb backpedaling underneath the pressure of the Saints rush. And so it will bring up 4th and goal from the 5, and should they not convert here, the remainder of this crowd will probably depart. Checking in is Eldra Buckley into this backfield. 4th and goal from the 5-yard line. Cobb in the shotgun one more time. Stamps his foot, calls for the football. Cobb in trouble, throws it at the 5-yard line to Avant. Flag has been thrown. Taking him down is Randall Gay. The flag is going to go, I think, against the Eagles. And so this will be the Saints football and probable game.
Illegal formation, offense, penalty is refused. New Orleans will take over on downs.
So the Saints hold and get the football back with 5 minutes and 12 seconds remaining, and there go the rest of the fans toward the exit for the most part.
All right, Jim, I'll give you a break here for a moment. This NFL scoreboard is brought to you by Stanley Reuter, Ross Thornton, and Alfred, business litigators for New Orleans and the Gulf South region.
Number 64 is eligible.
All right, in the fourth quarter, it's Atlanta 28, Carolina 20. This is a final. Minnesota beats Detroit 27-13. Also in the fourth quarter, Cincinnati leads Green Bay 28-21. Another fourth quarter score. Arizona over Jacksonville 31-17. With 1 minute and 7 seconds left to go in the fourth.
Hold up, Joe. Flag on the play. Go ahead.
Oakland leads Kansas City 13-10, and we'll get to those other scores.
Offense, half the distance of the goal, first down.
Okay, and finishing up those scores right now. At the 2-minute warning, it's the Jets 16, New England 9. In the fourth quarter, Tennessee and Houston are tied up at 31 apiece. And also a final, Washington beats St. Louis 9-7. And those are the scores of your other games in progress.
Penalty was on David Thomas, the tight end. So another first down call here to Bush, and he barely gets out of the Saints end zone, back to about the 2-yard line, nearly taken down for a safety by Sheldon Brown.
That's not the place where you want to be dancing around. When you got your back to the end zone like that, I'm making up my mind right now. I'm taking this thing straight ahead. The shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. Do that. Doesn't make any difference if you gain a yard, but he was in serious jeopardy right there of getting tackled for a safety.
Officially, they do give him but 1 yard. 2nd and 13 from the Saint 2-yard line. Just over 4.5 minutes remaining. The Saints comfortably on top by 21 points. Bush is the tailback, and he gets the call again. And again, he won't get much, maybe out to the 2-yard line, as the clock is stopped by the Eagles.
This is your first. This will be a 30-second timeout.
With their first timeout. Well, he went into this game a pick-em. It was the Eagles, the favorite most of the week, until McNabb was not going to play. If McNabb plays in this game, how much difference do you think he would have made in what looks to be a one-sided Saints victory?
Well, I don't think there's any doubt that Donovan McNabb makes a difference. I have to say that if he does play in this ball game, that they would have been considered the favorite in this game as instead of the pick'em. I still kind of said they would be a favorite as well, because I thought that their defense was a lot better than what they showed today. I thought their running game would be more of a factor than what it's been today. And I really think that that's kind of what the Saints have done. They've taken their defensive out of it, and they're shutting down their running game.
3rd and 13 from the 2. Again, it's Bush, and he dances around at the line of scrimmage and may have been caught in the backfield. No, they're going to say he barely got this football out of the end zone.
He was caught in the backfield, but he came down for a loss of about 1.5 yards. So that'll be negative yardage on his point right there. But that's exactly the point that I'm making. When you got your back up against the end zone like that, that ain't no time to be fiddle-farting around trying to make the big play. It's time to get that thing out of there.
Thank goodness we're on satellite radio.
Man, I'm telling you, he just scares me when he does stuff like that.
Along with WWL, of course, and all the flagship stations. The ball barely gets out of the end zone by about 6 inches, and now another stoppage in play.
Timeout, New Orleans. This is your second. This will be a 30-second timeout.
As the Saints take timeout. Well, this is where you truly do miss Mike Bell and a healthy Pierre Thomas.
Exactly, because those two guys, they're not going to be messing around with those two guys. They know what the job is. Let's get as much breathing room as we possibly can coming out of the end zone. It's 2 carries in a row that he's gotten where he's going up there dancing around trying to make something special happen. And it's like, Reggie, that's not the objective of the game right here. It's not to take this thing 99 yards for a touchdown. It's to get out of here and give our punting team a little bit of breathing room.
Yeah, he was very nearly caught for the safety by Akeem Jordan, who's had a good game as the weak side linebacker of the Eagles.
And I see a lot of the Saints offensive players coming back out onto the field.
Now, they might take a safety here and just choose to punt the football away on a free kick.
Yeah, they would have that option, absolutely.
Because they've got a big lead at 41-20, and obviously on the far sideline, Sean Payton and Greg McMahon and a bunch of the coaches have been talking about this. You don't want to risk at this point giving up 7 on a return. Yeah, you can hear people on the Eagle bench yell, he's going to take a safety, he's going to take a safety. And Drew Brees at the back of the end zone, running around with the football, and now he just throws the ball out of the end zone right behind him and gives up the 2 points.
And that's a smart thing to do right there. You burn some extra time off the clock. Plus, you're not worried about now putting your punt team back there and have the opportunity of having that punt block where, they could possibly cover it in the end zone, or even kicking it to a dangerous guy like Deshaun Jackson. I mean, let's kind of eliminate him from the equation.
I know I've seen the Saints practice that sort of play when they're more out on the field of play, and Brees actually turning around and throwing the ball through the uprights to his back and through his own end zone. That wasn't needed there. But as a Saint fan, the longer you see Drew Brees with the ball in his hands and people coming after him, you say, Drew, get rid of this thing.
Get rid of it as soon as you can, exactly.
And he did, giving up the 2-point safety and making our score 41-22 Saints with 3:36 to play.
He should have just given it to Reggie and said, look, you've been trying to give him a safety 2 plays in a row. I want to hear. Here's your opportunity. Just go ahead and do it now.
Because he barely got out of the end zone with those 2 carries. So the 2-point safety gives the Eagles the football back eventually here on the free kick, trailing the Saints by 19, 41-22. And you can kick it away as a placement, or you can punt the football away, and Morstead will punt it away on the free kick to the far side of the field. And this is going to be the rookie wide receiver Jeremy Macklin taking in the football, and the Saints taking him into their grasp at the Eagle 27. Let's see where they bring the football back on the field. At the 28 is where Philadelphia will have it.
And let's take it right down to Kristian Garic with a River Paris disposal. Saints sideline report. Kristian.
Hokie, just a quick update on Mike Bell. He is on the field. They didn't take him into the locker room or anything like that. No official word on the extent of his injury. That he is sitting over on the Saints bench with ice on his right knee.
Well, even that's good news after what everybody feared initially, and perhaps he did as well. 1st and 10 for the Eagles from their 28. Cobb throws short over the middle to McCoy across the 35 to the 36-yard line. LaShawn McCoy, their second-round draft choice out of Pitt. Eagles will hurry up to the line of scrimmage with just over 3 minutes remaining, and they'll look at 2nd and 2 from their 36-yard line. Cobb retreats, and he's in trouble. As he goes down, he throws the ball forward, but at the feet of McCoy, so it will be an incomplete pass. Hargrove on the pass rush. Bobby McCray was in there as well. Charleston, 2, as the Saints put their probably four best pass rushers on the field at this time.
This is a case right now where with those 4 guys down there, you could do a little experiment right now on a couple of pass rushing moves that you've been wanting to try, but because the defense doesn't allow it, because all they're interested in doing right now is just not letting Cobb just have 6-7 seconds to stand in the pocket and throw the ball.
3rd and 2 from the 36. They'll run it with McCoy for the first down to the 40. Charleston on his back, along with Adele for the tackle. Remy Adele started today at right defensive tackle for Kendrick Clancy, who was inactive with a minor injury. 1st and 10 at the Eagle 40. Cobb in the shotgun again. Stepping up, has time, shovels it forward to his running back, McCoy, and he'll be taken down by Gay along with Vilma in Saints territory at the 41-yard line. McCoy got some notice last week when he carried 9 times for 46 yards, an average of 5.1 in that one-sided win over the Panthers. 2:17 to play. Eagles trying to get off a play before the 2-minute warning. Saints only had 10 on the field before Charleston comes on. Here's the throw downfield, a wide open receiver at the 26 down to the 16-yard line. I believe that was Avant who made the catch. It was Roman Harper on his back as we have reached the 2-minute warning.
And with the 2-minute warning, here's your warning from the Louisiana Partners for Highway Safety, reminding everybody to buckle up.
41-22 Saints, 2 minutes to play. This is the New Orleans Saints Radio Network.
With 1:48 remaining in that game, and in the first quarter, it's Buffalo 7, Tampa Bay 0. So it looks like the Saints might be all alone.
1st and 10 from the 16-yard line. Here's Cobb, the throw. Again, it's Selleck, his tight end, wrestled down by Shanley around the 7-yard line. Clock continues to run and shows less than 1:50 to play.
I'll tell you what, if I'm Kevin Cobb, I'd go back to Brent Selleck and throw him one in the end zone. That young man deserves a touchdown here late in the ball game, the way that he's kind of been carrying the load for their passing game.
He's had 5 straight games with one, and they hand off inside, and Hargrove buries the running back, LaShawn McCoy. Hargrove was there about as quickly as the ball was put in the gut of the running back out of Pitt.
Well, that's 2 times that Anthony Hargrove has been in the backfield with what appears like nobody's ever laid a glove on him.
Man, you can't beat that quickness as a defensive tackle. So they'll try it again on 3rd down and goal. Here's the throw, and it's going to be intercepted. This is Sharper. Back to the 15, the 20, the 25, the 30, 35, 40. Look at the veteran go. Midfield, 35, down to the 30, 25. He gone, he gone, he gone. He's in the end zone. 97 yards on the touchdown return by the veteran Darren Sharper. 13 years out of William and Mary. His teammate there was the defensive coordinator of these same Eagles, and that would be Sean McDermott.
Well, and I tell you, Darren Sharper was thinking exactly the same thing I was. That's exactly where Cobb was trying to go, was to his tight end. Darren Sharper, just like he did last week in the waning moments of the game, stepped in front of the intended target. Of course, this one he gets to bring back all the way because he had nothing to lose. He could just keep running that ball down the field, and he did outrun Cobb to get into the end zone.
Wow. What an addition this guy has been. Darren Sharper with his 3rd interception in 2 games for the Saints, and they have come in here against the team with the #1 defense in the NFL, and they have put up on the board 48 points. 97 yards on the interception return by Sharper.
Well, you think about the long return that he had last week. I mean, he's got more return yardage in 2 games, and I guarantee you the Saints did all last season. I mean, he has just been, I mean, that's what the experience will do for you back there. You got a guy, and again, I mean, it's not that I'm some kind of genius, but I just said as much as Brent Selleck was catching the ball, that, you know, that's where you ought to go try and get him into the end zone. Darren Sharper was thinking exactly the same thing, and you watch him. He just steps right in front of it, and away he goes the other direction.
Good call, Hoke.
And let's go right down to Kristian Garic. Kristian, what you got, man?
Hoke, after the long touchdown interception return by Darren Sharper, his teammates kind of giving him a little, just messing with him a little bit about possibly running out of gas there. Coach Payton, as he was coming over, was kind of bent over, kind of with his tongue sticking out, kind of making fun of him, saying, hey, you almost ran out of gas on that one.
What a great return. It was only Kevin Cobb who'd had a chance to get him, and he couldn't with a diving attempt to make the tackle, and as soon as he knew that Sharper had eluded him, he knew he'd given up a big one. 97 yards on the return. We got to get into the Saints record book to find out about the length of that return for the longest touchdown return with an interception in Saints history.
Well, Kristian said he was getting a little ribbon coming to the sidelines. Not near the ribbon he would have got if he would have let the quarterback tackle him. Trust me.
Here's Morstead to kick it away one more time. To Hobbs from the 3. He's to the 10, the 15, to the 20, spins around at the 22, is up to around the 25 before he's gang tackled by the Saints. So there are just 47 seconds remaining in this one. There are about 47 fans of the Eagles still left in the stands. That's a 23-yard return. After that last return by Sharper, a number of the Saint defenders went over to the end zone in which he scored, and were pointing up at the Eagle fans, who've probably been giving him a pretty rough time today, as Eagle fans are wont to do. But they've got to be impressed with this effort by the visitors, if not that of the home team.
Well, I certainly didn't see it coming. I promise you that. And I mean, very, very much surprising. I figured if the Saints did win, it would be by a field goal.
Here's Cobb throwing to Selleck. Slips a tackle by Jenkins. And the Saints rip at the football, but he's beyond the 45 up to the 47-yard line. That 97-yard return ties the record set by Tommy Myers. That's a 22-yard reception. So for the longest interception return in Saints history, Tommy Myers, one of my favorite people of all time on the Saints. Here's Cobb, and he's going to be hit from behind by McCray. Ball comes free. They'll rule it incomplete as McCray hits Cobb as he delivers the football. It's got to be the time of the game that Bobby McCray absolutely loves.
Well, you just said that about Tommy Myers because he's a Syracuse grad.
True.
Yeah.
But apart from that,
yeah, you're right. I mean, he's one of the all-time great Saints. There's no doubt about that. I just had to throw my 2 cents in.
As you were one of my all-time favorite Saints.
Well, I didn't go to Syracuse.
No, but you had that great electrical engineering background out of LSU.
Yeah, we won't get into that right now.
2nd and 10 from the Eagle 47. Cobb with a lot of time has to settle for an underneath dump off to the tight end Selleck, and he's into Saints territory around the 43-yard line with 7 seconds remaining in this game.
And you called a timeout.
They call a timeout. After a 10-yard gain, and
I'm inclined to boo him here as well. Yeah, I mean, this is not going to do anything to make the score look respectable or anything like that. And this is not anything like playing to the whistle. I mean, this ball game's over. There's 7 seconds left to go. I mean, you don't need to risk getting somebody hurt just because you want to make the score look a little bit more decent for all the rest of America.
Darren Sharper now with his 57th career interception, leading all active NFL players, and I'd say he's still got a little left.
He still leads Scott Shanley about 55, just as it was after last week's game.
We're checking on another record about the Saints scoring in excess of 40 points in successive games. 1st and 10 from the 42, and coming off the corner is Reese. Cobb throws it downfield, and that's going to be intercepted at the 12-yard line by Tracy Porter on the final play of the game. Wow, you talk about adding insult to injury. Final play of the game, Tracy Porter, an interception, and the Saints are going to walk off this field having won this football game more handily than I think anybody in the country thought that they could. And we get a note from our longtime statistician, Brian Duvall, who says back in Houston that the Saints are the first team since the 2001 Colts to score 40 or more points in their first 2 games.
And they have done it in impressive fashion. I mean, especially against a defense like the Eagles have. So, tell you what, I mean, I'm still not going to say things are perfect, but I think we all agree that the Saints definitely made a step up in class today, and they stepped up in a big way. They play like this for the majority of the season. That's what they've got the remainder of the season. They will definitely be a team to have to be reckoned with.
Well, you look at going on to Buffalo next week. They're taking on Tampa Bay. I read a note today. It's the first time in Tampa Bay franchise history that they have ever played in Buffalo. So hopefully,
lucky them.
Hopefully for the Saints, each team will soften up the other, because the Saints have the Bucs up next, or the Bucs eventually, but the Bills up next. Well, how about this one? That's the end of our game with the final score of the Saints 48 and the Eagles 22. We'll be back in 60 seconds on the New Orleans Saints Radio Network.